Hello, everyone. This is Scoundrels Inc. We're talking about Star Wars Andor Episode 7, titled "The Announcement." Thanks for joining us on this episode. If this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button. That'd be great. Help us out a lot. But us four, my name's Frank, Sean, Kevin. That's Brandon over there.
Hello.
We put him on the end because he's got a fro. Like to find out was your general thoughts on the episode. So let's start with Brandon, because this time I believe you didn't watch it on your phone. You actually watched it on a television set.
I watched this on a television set. I believe it is a 50-inch plasma screen.
No need to brag. But
TV. I don't even think they make plasma screens anymore. It was like a gift from like a friend.
Wow.
Yeah. Frank's never given me a TV.
No, and I will probably never.
No.
Frank's never given
me.
Wait,
so what are your thoughts on the episode? We just got your thoughts on your TV. That's apparently very outdated.
The TV's great.
The TV's great. Episode was great too. I thought we got, this was like a first new chapter in these like 3-episode arcs that we've been getting. So it was like I was expecting it to kind of be like hit the reset button type of episode, which it kind of was, but it was a lot of like really good information, a lot of good like political stuff in there. Not like the politics that people like to complain about, but like really good.
You wouldn't like my politics.
No.
You wouldn't like my politics when I'm
Go on.
I might have a strong taste in politics.
I do have feelings on that conversation. We can get.
Yeah, we're definitely going to
talk
about
that.
Okay, but I really liked that scene in particular. Like, the tension was very good. It was a very tension-filled episode. You don't know who to trust. You don't know what's going on. I like the mystery behind it, and I'm excited to see how it unravels.
Yeah, Kevin, what did you think about this event? Because, Brandon was saying we thought we might see a bit of a reset, and it kind of really just picks up right where we left off, really.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that it felt like the all-star team, the all-star game. We got everybody. Some episodes you aren't privy to everybody, but we got an episode where we not only had, Cinta and Luthen and Andor, but also Bix and like everybody was there. So everybody kind of came full out. The only person that wasn't there was Sly Moore. Where was she? She was supposed to be on the guest list. She was on the seating arrangement thing. Never saw Sly Moore. Even like in the background. CGI in the background.
I was corrected. That was a different party. We didn't see that party on screen.
I was just trying to be a smart
No, but you're absolutely right.
It is a different party?
I don't know.
Yeah, because that was more of a cocktail mixer. Where
I don't
the
know.
other one was a dinner
Storyline-wise,
party.
if you're crafting a story, and the story's been flawless so far, but like when you're talking about a dinner party, and then all of a sudden it's a different dinner party. But it's just
maybe
just one shot where he looks over and rolls her eyes.
We did
as they walk by, because she's better than everyone.
A lot of weird aliens this episode, though.
We did.
It was cool, yeah. And bienvenidos a Niamos. So,
Wow.
I have to say.
Wow, we have a bilingual star.
I'm glad that
I was
Kevin,
quoting from. I only know that sentence because of Will Smith.
I'm glad that Kevin
Miami
is the
song,
one.
Welcome to my.
Oh my!
Of all of us, I'm glad Kevin's the one to do the Spanish.
Thank you. Yeah, gracias.
De nada.
Sean, you saw this episode, right? Did you see this episode?
I did see this episode.
Did you see it from the beginning?
I saw it from the beginning.
But did you remember it?
But I wasn't watching the subtitles from the beginning.
Okay.
Because I thought Pergaz, what's his name?
Partagaz?
Partagaz.
Yeah. Radagast.
I thought Radagast was... I thought Bird Shit Wizard was the one giving that speech.
Bird Shit, yeah.
No, I thought Partagaz was the one giving that speech at the beginning.
Turns out wasn't.
Yeah, turns out it wasn't. It was Admiral Yularen. It's super cool to see
Admiral Yularen from the Clone Wars.
That guy. Yeah. Too bad he didn't talk like that in the episode.
I definitely
Hello, some people have stolen the credits.
A galaxy divided. Someone has stolen our credits. We must do something fast.
Wow.
That's my Tom Kane.
Pretty good.
What is it good for?
Yeah,
absolutely nothing.
I always text you after these episodes.
You did. I didn't see it for like 15 minutes.
Why don't I get a text?
Because
Dude, you are sleeping.
You're asleep.
It was 1 a.m.
I watched it last night.
Okay,
you did not.
I watched it. Next time I'll prove it to you. I have receipts.
All right, well, then then I'll tell you what, Kevin. If you text me,
I'll text you at 1 a.m. next week, guy.
Or you can text me at 12 and let me know you're watching the episode.
No, I'm gonna leave you in suspense until the end of the episode.
Okay, but then I don't get to text you after the end.
You text me after the end. What kind of text are you talking about?
Don't you want?
I've been missing out.
Okay, because I just told Frank that I sexted him after the episode.
Yeah.
And you said, why don't you text me after the episode?
Yeah.
No, I text Frank after every episode.
Just about, yeah.
Just a
Is
quick
episode when you episode is an episode.
episode after Frank and I have an episode.
Yeah.
No, partly because it helps me kind of get my first impression.
Gotcha.
If I write it down, it helps me remember because I'm watching it so late and then waking up 4 hours later.
Wait. Your impression is, hey, I liked it.
No.
That helps you remember.
I said that episode
would
was
have forgotten.
so fucking weird.
Oh, yeah, you said it was weird.
Because,
yeah. You
because
said
it
that.
was a weird episode. It was a weird episode to kind of just get this sort of like, almost like a patchwork piecemeal vision of like the state of the galaxy following the burglary, right? So I really like that. I really like this sort of like it almost felt like an anthology episode or like the like the first song after intermission in a Broadway show, right? It's resetting everything up.
No,
It's recontextualizing.
I understand that
everything.
reference.
So I really like that. I thought the episode was great, but it was weird. It was something we haven't really gotten an episode like that in Star Wars. Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, so my first impressions on this episode, I loved it throughout entirely, and I was actually very, very hyped just based on the previously on, which I know you probably skipped, Sean, because you don't have time for 30 seconds.
Look, I
of
don't
pressure.
have time.
He
I
doesn't
actually
got
do
time.
skip the pre-ones. I don't skip the
Yeah.
intro though.
I feel like it's 3 weeks in a row. The previously on starts with that same clip of
Luthen saying, "Now you have to
Luthen
fight
saying like, "You gotta fight him for real.
Yeah, well,
hit him where it hurts."
Because they're fans of the show.
So
I love that.
every
Yeah.
single time I'm like, wait, is this the same episode? I have to like pause and think about it. Like, am I on the right episode? All right, Luthen, you're throwing me off.
Well, even with all that said, I thought it was showing. A lot of previously ons will tee up what you're kind of gonna get in that
Did
episode.
see Tim die.
And so as it was going through all these storylines we've been touching on the first 6 episodes, I was like, wow, we are gonna touch on all of this stuff, like every single thing, because there's some episodes where you don't have a lot of Mon Mothma, or there wasn't a lot of Luthen, right? Or there wasn't a lot of Cyril, right? And then the previously on was hitting all of these points that had kind of been left.
That's why my pitch to you is to not watch the pre-vons anymore, so you don't.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
no. I'm
so
going to
I
actually, this
actually-
is going to make me watch them
Yeah,
indefinitely
I actually-
because
Well, yeah.
I don't.
I try to avoid it because
I was
as a
so excited.
as an editor, I've edited pre-vons for shows, and that is literally the directive. It's like, we're going to touch on this, this, and that. So from the previous episode, any snippets that will lead into that. So whenever I see a pre-von, the only pre-von I watched was the pre-von for Obi-Wan, and that was freaking epic.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah, you had
God.
to.
That
Yeah,
was
it
so
was
good.
great. It was great.
Better than the movies.
So
Just kidding.
You know what? But hold on. But I know we're on something else. But
Yeah.
but you say better than movies.
I'm joking.
But it has a great emotional like weight to it. That was what I remember so much about Obi-Wan.
It's
was
a nostalgia kick,
It's
really, is
edited
what it was.
so well.
And it reminds me of those modern trailers. Have you ever seen modern trailer for
Yeah.
Wrath of Khan?
Yeah.
Sorry, Star Trek movie, but like they have modern trailers, and because it's like the first
You know,
time
they
you see that
also-
footage with like modern trailer type music. It's
And
not
yeah,
all of the
right.
typical. Yeah, it was good. Sorry to derail. I'm just
no,
saying.
yeah. So that's why I do like watching
like
the
that.
previously on, because it really set up my, not so much like an anticipation, but just like, wow, we are going on a really crazy through line or journey with, we're touching on all this stuff, and it makes sense because those first 6 episodes,
Yeah.
like, well, at least the 6th one culminated in everything that's been going on up until then, and everything needs to have a response within those storylines, whether it's Mon Mothma, Luthen, Cassian, right? Even Ferrix, right? Well, I was wondering, are we going to go back to Ferrix? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they show that stuff back on Ferrix. So I was like, okay, cool. So it really kind of
informed
prepared me and informed me of what to expect on some sort of level that really just got me hyped for the episode. Now, where we do start off with the episode, and I kind of want to tackle them storyline by storyline, and that's the ISB and the Dedra storyline. And what do you got?
Make sure to like and subscribe our show and
You
channel.
know what?
What do you got going on?
Speaking of
Chuckles?
hype, aren't you hyped when people like and subscribe our channel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do whatever
That's
you
your call
want.
to action right
Really?
there.
No, I
Did do
thought
it
of
right?
a-
Was it
yeah.
natural? No,
It was super
not natural at all. But
fluid, yeah.
Like and subscribe. Smash the like button.
if that's the sort of thing you do. Yeah.
My,
Hot
you,
man
you
the
ever
light
have
bulb.
an internal conversation with yourself and it just goes off the rails?
No.
Okay. great.
You should probably see someone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Wait, what's going on up in that noggin? What are you doing? What are you doing?
For some reason, my brain went to you saying the previously on is the pre-cum of the episode.
Wow.
Did you say that?
I
You
did
didn't.
not.
No, he didn't.
Even remotely.
He didn't,
get close
but
to
I
that.
imagined him
Whoa.
saying it.
You really do need to see someone. With that said, look, we start with Yularen, Admiral Yularen, and
Which you wouldn't know unless you watched the subtitles.
which you wouldn't know.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
maybe you would
lying.
know if you were
I don't know.
mustache, white
I don't
thing,
think,
and the voice.
Yeah, I don't think seeing a white-haired, mustachioed Imperial really sets
But
anything
yeah,
off.
he kind of had that voice.
I will
Little
say, at least for myself, I looked at that guy and I said, I feel like I should know who that is, or that feels like that's
Well-
somebody like kind of making a
Right.
cameo. Because I missed actually the caption where it said his name, so I rewatched it again. I saw the caption, I was like, oh, that's actually him. So what were you gonna say, Brandon?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I definitely knew he was somebody important because he was like, I just spoke to Emperor Palpatine last night. I'm like,
is sitting down. You're like, okay, this dude is definitely.
I'm
a
like-
Prendergast.
name you just dropped there,
Yeah.
Yularen.
yeah, I'm like, oh, you talked to the Emperor?
Well, I didn't-
Excuse
so
me.
I was kind of like, I kind of like turned on the episode, grabbed my water, and then was sitting down, like kind of listening to the episode, like
You
kind of
hit play and then you got up.
Frank.
Frank.
I was
And
like,
you skip
why
intros?
don't you do that in
here's
reverse?
Here's the thing, Frank. I watch all these episodes twice,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna watch it again tomorrow. Sit down
Okay.
and soak it in.
Well, what good is that for the podcast for you to watch it tomorrow?
isn't. It isn't. I
That's from
agree.
his fan cast.
If
his own
if we would,
fandom.
if maybe we wanted to film the podcast an hour later than we do, I'd have time to watch the episode when I get home from work. That'd be another story. But I
You
don't.
film on our time, not your time.
I know we do. I know.
Poor
we do.
guy commutes from.
Yeah, I'm commuting
knows
from
where.
Orange County,
Yeah.
so
Orange County,
Well,
New
you should
York.
do what he does and just watch it in the car
Yeah, watch it in the car.
and
That's
put
wor-
everybody's
that's
life
worse.
at risk. I
Just
know.
watch it on your
Way
phone.
worse.
I'm gonna miss so much.
Don't even
more
look at
if
the
I do
road.
Okay. So we got the Palpatine mention, which I thought was like, okay, it's
Cool
cool.
name drop.
Palpatine.
I was like,
He's
are we
mentioned
gonna-
a couple times.
I'm like,
in
are
this
we gonna
episode.
see
He
him?
is, yeah.
Mon Mothma mentions him.
Right, and so that
We'll
led me
see
to
him,
believe
and,
That's
that
a good line,
At
by
the end
the
of
way.
the court scene, don't they say "take it up with Palpatine" or "take it up with the Emperor"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it up with the Emperor, which is funny. It was
Here's a
pretty
question
good.
I posed to the
There's
group.
so much to
Are
talk
we going to
about.
see the Emperor in this season or next?
I hope so.
I mean,
I hope
so
not.
here's the thing. Actually,
I want to
kinda-
see him talking to the Senate.
I want to see.
Hello.
So yeah,
Why wasn't I first order of business? Why was I not invited to Mon's dinner party?
Hello, Dello Felicates.
damn.
That's Jar
Yeah,
Jar.
That's what Jar Jar
Yeah,
says.
that's Jar Jar. When he,
Hello.
when he called for
Yellow
a vote of no
Felicates or
confidence.
whatever.
Yeah. But so
I don't even know what that voice you were doing
I
was.
don't know.
that was like
I don't know. This is what Sean was doing. Hello, Dello Felicates. It is me,
It is me, Russian Jar Jar.
Russian Jar Jar Binks. Okay, you in Russia, symbiotic circle
Soviet
you.
Russia.
damn. That's,
Hey,
that's what. That's
so I
what
do
a
post a
Russian-
question.
So
Do you think
before-
you're going to see Emperor Palpatine?
Well, I want
before
to
the
address
end
that
of the
actually
season?
We
because
just lost our Russian audience.
So what's brought up
my
in
wife.
that so what's brought up in that scene is there's meat sticks being passed around now.
Dello Felicates.
So you guys are just
You're going to explain this with or just start
hell is
eating? This
this?
is really weirding me out. I'm okay, thanks. No.
I think you got to take it.
No,
yeah,
I
you gotta
do not
take
want
it. You
one.
gotta
I mean-
take it.
Oh God, it looks horrible. It's not happening.
Oh no! What? Okay, well,
This is the kind of food that gives you colon cancer again. So I'm not taking it.
This episode is
I'm
brought to you.
pulling the cancer card on this one.
This episode is brought to you by 7-Eleven Buffalo Chicken Rollers.
buffalo chicken rolls.
Guaranteed to not give you colon cancer.
Grab life by the number 7.
So what I was going to address your question there, Kevin, is that
Delicious.
in Yularen's kind of like opening speech there, opening salvo, he talks about how the Emperor is going to convene an emergency session to pass like this bill, these bills, these acts, this what they called it, the public order resisting directive, and you guys are just phenomenal stuff. Just
I'm paying attention. I don't know what he's laughing at.
I don't know. He's watching you deep throat that meat stick. Is what
Yeah.
he's probably doing right now. So he just
I feel like we're the filling of a
Don't, Kevin. Just
some weird sandwich.
don't.
There's a name for it. Thank you for the shirt, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's not hiding the fact that I'm fat.
Well,
but-
you gotta. You just gotta.
I'm trying to do
You
it.
know, I
though.
realized
They
I
really
was
do it.
chewing into the mic.
Yeah.
Usually Captain Rex hides.
This is why
You-
people
Is
don't
there
usually
cheese in
eat
this?
on shows.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what they watch statistics.
I might actually. This might be the first time I actually edit the show.
I was gonna say.
I might have to now. This is so bonkers.
This
This one
push
is-
in and out. You know, you got plenty of room.
So, Yularen talked about how the Emperor is going to initiate an emergency session in the Senate to pass basically what's come down to as like the American government's version of the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
You know, it's just unleashing all power to the Imperial.
You
do
stole that
whatever
from
they
Kevin's
want.
notes that I could read.
Now,
right here.
okay, here's my question.
Thief.
Do you think that this was
Why am I still holding this? What would I do?
Here, give it
You
to me.
need-
Give it to me.
Right there, it's right
You need a meat pocket.
Meat pocket, right?
I'm sorry, I took the bit
This is-
too
I-
far
I-
today.
I was-
It's good. It's good Patreon content.
yeah.
We don't have a Patreon.
Not yet. Because we don't have content for them.
We do now.
Thank you.
Oh my god, it's a disaster.
Okay, do you think that I'm so sorry? This was my
No.
fault.
I think I'm gonna eat Kevin's meat stick.
Here's the thing, Frank. The people that are actually fans of ours,
They're
this
gonna
is
love
what
it.
they want.
They'll love it.
We could.
It is.
How do you know that?
The last-
No, they
Because
would.
I've
They
talked
would.
to them.
Yeah, this is.
All 7.
All 7 of
I
them.
mean,
yeah.
that's easy to talk to. 7 people.
What are the odds that we're going to see Emperor Palpatine at some point in this season or next season? Do you think we're going to get a cameo, hologram or not?
3,720 to 1.
Yes, it's a good odds. I'll take those odds. I would think that or 725 to 1, which is more the surviving on Hoth. What about you, Frank?
No, I think it's 100%. I'm just gonna give an actual
Really?
number.
Yeah.
A
Never
real
tell me the
number.
odds.
I
No,
think it's.
see, I don't
original
think
name
he
of the
is at all.
podcast.
That's why I gave that number.
I
he is
think
at
what
all.
we're gonna see is actually here. We're gonna see Palpatine, but just from like the back of his head.
Oh, okay.
And you're not gonna see the front, and you're gonna probably hear some speech over like the holonet, whatever, kind of like how Cyril was getting the news
Yeah.
in that apartment. You probably get something like that. You'll absolutely see Mon Mothma in the Senate for this session, right? You have to. So
But I don't think Palpatine actually presides over the Senate anymore. That's the thing.
No. But
I think he's above the Senate.
so pissed off about what happened that in order for the Empire to demonstrate
How
strength,
serious they are.
how serious they are about this, and all these basically laws and heightened.
Because I was under the impression that he doesn't make public appearances anymore.
The show could demonstrate differently.
Sure, they could demonstrate different, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it kind of comes down to like, it's similar to the speech he makes after Revenge of the Sith,
You're
where
right.
he's like, "The attempt on my life has left me scarred,
Deformed.
deformed."
But my resolve has never been stronger.
Thank
You
you.
think you're going to see him?
It's high. It's very high.
There you
So
go.
so I'm low. Kevin, you gave
50-50.
you're 50-50.
I'm 100%.
Yeah, I'm low. I'm low. I'm for this season. I'm 0.
hopeful. But yeah.
For this season, I'm 0. Next season, I think there's a chance. But I don't know. I don't think the show needs it, and I think that this show has done a really good job of like not needing to rely on that sort of storytelling, where the other shows have been like, oh hey, here's this big character. This show's done a really good job of not doing that at all. So
If he does show up, will Oscar Isaac say somehow Palpatine is
Yeah, yes. But
He
I
walks
think
right
it's-
into
I
frame.
think I think you're right
winks
that
to the
if we do
camera.
see him, we'll see him from behind.
They said his name 3 times in this episode.
Sure,
And
I mean,
so
he
it's
is,
like,
he is
why?
Still,
Why? I mean, like,
He-
you don't have to.
he is still the emperor, right?
Sure.
I mean, when it comes down to it, it's an empire. He's the emperor,
Yeah.
right? He is. You know, we joke about the line, "I am the Senate," but essentially, right? Like that is true. I mean, he is the empire at this point.
If he's the Senate, he was really throwing himself at Yoda in episode 3, which is, I mean, it's just really inappropriate
Well, you know,
for a politician.
I do think that if we see him, it'll be from behind or something. But I don't think the show needs to, and I also don't think that from a Palpatine standpoint, right? Like he is so far above the Senate at this point. The Senate is, him showing up in front of the Senate is sort of acknowledging that the Senate matters.
Yeah.
Right? So now, do I think that maybe he gives an address or something? Sure, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that if by them naming him or saying his name, 3 times in this episode, I do feel like they are setting up his little brief cameo, if you want to call it that. I do think that the show actually does need it because this show is demonstrating the power of the Empire, and that power comes from Palpatine and everything that he's instilled and has allowed to happen, and how he manipulates the Senate. And I think, furthermore, with Palpatine showing up in the Senate is going to demonstrate on a much more visceral level, while Mothma's there, how much in control he is of the Senate. He's going to demonstrate to everybody else who's kind of who's dissenting, i.e. Mon Mothma, how hopeless it is to even try and go up against the Empire, i.e. the Emperor. And I think that's even going to further drive Mon Mothma's tenacity or resolve to do more than what she's starting to do. And we'll get into her whole storyline in this episode. But moving past whether or not we're going to see the Emperor or not,
I don't know. I have more thoughts on this, legitimately.
Okay,
I legitimately do.
Yeah, go for it. Then.
Right. So I want to stand by what I said. I don't think that he is making public appearances. I don't think that he is showing himself. Right. I mean, sure, we know that the attempt on my life has left me scarred. He was very open and honest about that. But the title, when we go back to like George's vision for everything, the title, The Phantom Menace, that is about the Emperor, not about Maul.
Actually, it was about Jar Jar Binks when Jar Jar was originally Sith Lord in episode 2,
Right.
and then he abandoned that when everybody
but
hit
in all,
Jar Jar.
in all
That's for another
serious-
episode.
In all seriousness, right? Like the Emperor he doesn't need to lead from the front anymore. He has people to do that. He has a faceless army of stormtroopers to do his bidding. He has these massive war machines in the Star Destroyers, right? The whole point by removing a front face from the Emperor, it no longer it dehumanizes it in a way that makes it, this is a force. This is not something that we can change or rebel against. If you have a single man at the head, now right? Like, if you have a face for the Emperor,
I think it's
and
interesting.
especially a weak, frail face, which is the face that he currently has. We do know that he has made some addresses, but when he does that, the way I'm understanding the question, right, is, are we going to see the Sheev Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
We know that he's made some hollow addresses, but not using his actual face, using an older version of his face sort of mapped on there.
What's that from?
So, it's mentioned somewhere in the book, I think. I'm not sure.
The Bible.
In the book.
The book of the Bible.
The Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's
the Journal of the Wills.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up something that like for some reason have really
the
strong
only thing I just want to
on.
say real quick to counter that is it's an odd way to display and demonstrate your power by not being visible.
Yeah, there's
because he has symbols of power in place. The Death Star, the Stormtroopers, Star Destroyers.
Sure.
Right?
there are two thoughts to this.
Yeah.
A New Hope, you didn't need him. You heard about him, but he wasn't really, even back then when George writing it, like, he was. We weren't going to see him till the next one anyway, and really till the third one, Return of the Jedi. So you could mention him. A New Hope, you hear about the Emperor, it keeps it mystery. But since we know who the Emperor is, and these name drops, you kind of want to see him, right? Or you don't, but I mean, maybe the audience does.
I mean, I don't
One
care.
thing though, for
I don't
sure,
care
what
if
you
we
say
do
is
see
a
him.
visceral a way to see it, to where he literally comes up and he, like you said, it's like basically like shows up to the Senate, like reminds everybody like who the fuck he is,
Right.
You know what I mean? And just to really give
Because that's
Mon Mothma
there's
that feeling
power
of powerlessness.
in showing up
Turns good
when like you're setting there's a pattern of like, I only show up when shit's real. Like,
But
I'm not just showing up to be like,
here's-
would you guys vote on, are we getting a raise this year? He's not showing up for that crap. He's showing up for the part where he needs to impose power and strength and the will of the Empire. That's the only time he's got to show up. which I think is going to be one of these.
But
times.
here's the thing. Him showing up to the Senate, in my opinion, makes him
Look worried.
Well, no, it's him attributing some amount of worth to the Senate that I don't think he attributes to the Senate at this point, which is why he dissolves the Senate 5 years from now, right?
Because of the Death Star. He doesn't have the Death Star
Yeah,
yet.
You're right.
Well, look,
You're right.
I never said
but-
we're going to see him again just in the Senate. Maybe he can do a hologram recording from his palatial palace.
Sure, I do
Is that a
think
word? Palatial.
Palatial, yes, but
Okay.
but
Yeah, I'll
but,
allow it,
but
I'll allow
you
it.
you essentially
Palatio.
just said palace-like palace.
It's like when people say ATM machines. ATM
Right.
machine, automated teller machine.
right.
Anyways.
I just say 18 machine.
Kevin, do you know where the Emperor's palace is right now?
In Imperial City on Coruscant?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the Jedi Temple.
It's the temple.
Oh, I was
What a
thinking of back from the
bastard.
old Dark Forces game when it was in.
Yeah.
Remember at the end of episode 2, the Attack of the Clones, when they fly. When
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah,
flies and meets him in that.
In that old
Yeah, from the games, from
Yeah.
the PC games and stuff. That was. I thought
that
was
was
a
his
total
palace,
nod
yeah.
to the
Do we-
palace. But yeah, he's in the Jedi.
Do we
Temple.
think that the Emperor kept Jarl Poof's chair?
Yeah, that's.
Yes.
He absolutely did because that's the only. Yeah.
I love this chair. The guy had such a long neck. So weird.
But when you do your impression, you're hiding your neck. What is that about?
Yeah.
Because I have a short neck here.
It makes him.
Well, he's doing it.
Oh, he's doing the. I thought you were doing a Jarl Poof
I don't-
impression, and you're like, let
No,
me
he's
hide
doing
my
Jarl
neck.
He's doing an impression of the Emperor sitting in Jarl Poof's chair.
Yeah, how does
Yes.
Jarl Poof sound? Do you think? I think. You
Well,
know what his voice
they-
is probably
they
like
do-
well,
hello,
everybody. They're-
a floating head.
There's a-
I'm gonna tip over.
There's a few great Jarl Poof bits on the Robot Chicken Star Wars, and he talks like this.
Oh, like Woody Allen.
A little bit, yes.
Woody Allen. I'm just like so nervous about the Jedi, and what about the Wookiees?
He's got some good lines.
That's a horrible Woody Allen, but yeah.
Because like there's a line where like Mace Windu's like, "Oh, we'll leave it up to the council to decide," and then he goes, "Oh, it's a council now. It's not just the two of you."
Well, really, okay. Really,
funny.
there's like
Now,
in
that's what
episode
his voice
in
is.
episode
Good, yeah.
1 and 2, there's like 3 or 4 of them because it's Yoda, Mace, Plo, and
Kitty Moody.
Kit Fisto. Yeah,
Agent Cole
Kit
is there,
Fisto,
dude.
Kaidi Moody, whatever. Right? Like there's a few of them that really matter, and then there's the
Yeah.
rest of them.
Yeah.
Like absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're gonna see more of Yaddle soon, but
I can't wait. I mean,
what did
Yeah.
what did she really
So
do?
to conclude our hour discussion on will the Emperor show up or not?
God damn,
I'm thinking a maybe.
This is a very special Halloween
So-
episode of Scoundrels Inc.
Movie? Can we? Are we good on the Emperor? Like, are we good on the Emperor?
I'm sorry, you didn't want deep conversation today. You want me to go back to the part that we had to edit out?
No, I'm glad.
No. What I mean, like,
What do you mean?
I understand what you're saying.
We didn't edit anything out because I never ate my meat stick.
It's very important that I say this. Can you please turn auto off on that so
Yeah,
I can
I-
continue
you know-
looking at the screen?
Yeah, like, why wouldn't you do that? you just.
I mean, what kind of power are you trying to save? You're plugged in.
Yeah, you're plugged in, guy.
Plugged in, guy.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, so in this meeting, though, or
Yes.
well, sticking with the Imperial Security Bureau,
We
when we
mentioned
come
the Patriot Act. which
Yeah.
I
So
love
like
the real world thing.
that's like it felt very much like the Patriot Act. You know, they're using this one scenario, this one event to kind of
For some listeners who don't know what the Patriot Act is,
no.
that was basically where after 9/11, the government they lifted a lot of the barriers that would prevent the CIA communicating with the FBI or ways to surveillance.
Yeah,
and
a
that
lot of
was to
surveillance.
better protect us by losing some of our freedoms. But I think a majority of us at the time were okay with it.
At the time, yeah, and then
Yeah.
you know when. Anyways, I don't want to get into all that.
Yeah, but that's
whole
just to
rabbit
give
hole,
you
but-
what the Patriot Act is.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
It's very
so
similar to what they're
It's
talking
that's
about.
what it feels like in this response, and going back to after this, it's Dedra's like this. She's like, we're falling right into the rebels' hands here. This is what they want. They want us tightening our grip. They want us to overreact and to instill more suppression. And when we get back into the council again with Prendergast presiding, which, by the way, very much seems like he's running like a mock trial, like he's like a professor and he's asking for people's rebuttals and theses.
Yeah, he likes discourse. He's a fan of that.
Well, I think that's such an interesting, like, just from the standpoint of, like, world building, it's such an interesting way to run an intelligence operation, right?
Yeah.
Like because you're presumably everyone who's there has shown some level of competence enough to get there, right? Some level of analytical analysis, some level of surveillance expertise, some level of, what have you. So it's when you've got so many people with great ideas, it's actually a very good way to run an organization, which is something we don't typically see out of the Empire, right? The Empire is usually, when we see it in the original trilogy, it's kind of a love letter to incompetence, right? Like, that's why Vader chokes so many people out, is because all of the top brass
It's not just
are
a kink,
incompetent.
it's like, yeah.
Right? Yeah, he's definitely into it, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like the bureaucracy of it all in this show is like actually hindering the Empire's ability to like stop the rebels, because they have to have these meetings and they're like, oh, so and so doesn't have enough evidence, this person's out to get this person, and
Well, that's what I think Daedra, if I'm saying the name right, Daedra, to make it not sound like a Earth name, but that's why Daedra realizes that, and she's basically like, could we lose all the red tape, dude? Like, you guys are not thinking, the big picture of what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so I think she's a scary character because she represents, she's just not, it doesn't seem like she's in it for herself. She's literally in it for like the Empire. She's not doing this for like, maybe she's doing it to progress herself, but at the end of the day, she's more worried about this rebellion. And I think she's like, we need to stop this back and forth. And yeah, I enacted this emergency.
She took advantage of the emergency powers.
I love that.
Yeah.
Partagas is like, she's like, well, with the system the way it is, all of the crime is happening on the borders, right? Where no one's taking responsibility because it's in that border territory.
Yeah.
And Partagas is like, well, I put that system into place.
Well, actually, one of the council members says that.
She's like, yeah, systems can either
change
or die.
Yeah,
she's ballsy, man.
Yeah.
And that's what catches Partagas' attention. And then Blevin goes off, is like, yeah, you're just running amok. And Partagas is like, yeah, what if more of us did that and got to this level of what Daedra did? And so now she's more in favor with Partagas. And so when they leave that meeting, he's like, come talk with me. He's like, good job, basically. And she's like, thanks. And he's like,
watch your back
because those people are pissed right now.
Yeah.
Those people are pissed.
Yeah. I'm loving her character. I'm loving that storyline, because what this show's doing so well is telling these sort of inside the Emperor, or like day-to-day. Now I'm saying inside the Emperor, inside the Empire.
Yeah, that's the new show. Inside the Emperor.
It's like an Osmosis Jones, but about
right.
It's
right,
exactly. It's the midi-chlorian.
It's about a lone it's about midichlorian Mike.
Oh my god, that'd be great.
Wasn't there a rumor that George Lucas wanted Episode 7 to be about midichlorians, like on a microscopic level?
Yeah,
I don't
that was a
That's
rumor.
for another show.
So the one thing this show is also doing really well is it's made me start rooting for Daedra. I was just like, yeah.
That is
Yeah,
weird.
obviously, I want. Well, not obviously, but what I'm saying is,
get those rebels.
yeah, get those,
Get that promotion. You go,
Like,
girl.
But
Yeah.
doesn't Star Wars always do that? Don't we have such a way of rooting for the bad guys? I mean, look at
Well, not Imperial. I've never rooted for an Imperial.
never? None of them.
Why would I? Why?
I loved Orson Krennic. I I was shoot Lyra dead, dude.
Like maybe
I
like
love
Bounty
Ben
Hunters,
Mendelsohn in
sure.
anything, and I'm in.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Wait, what Imperials do you root for? Have you rooted for?
well, less so in current canon, but
Okay.
like Mara Jade. I mean, Agent Callus, even before he
You were
turned.
rooting for Callus before he turned.
They're compelling characters. I'm not
Oh,
saying
that's-
you root.
okay, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying you root for them, but it makes you like these villains. Like, people like Krennic because he's a good villain. People love Vader.
no.
Talking
Oh, yeah,
about
there's
Vader,
a
he's like the
difference.
most well-liked.
I always
I-
root for Admiral Ozzel.
But like to a point where sometimes your favorite characters are the villains. I agree. You're not rooting for them to succeed in the same way.
Are they characters I
but,
like
yeah.
watching and following? Yes. Am I rooting for them? No. But in a weird way, I was rooting for Daedra to get one
Right.
over on Blevin.
on the rest of the
you
shitty
know,
guys,
I'm
yeah.
like, but why? Oh, the show was written so
Yeah.
well that I was like, I find myself, how you guys made me root for an Imperial,
Yeah.
officer.
Well, it's what I was talking about a couple episodes ago, where we're seeing these sort of budding, intelligence agencies form.
yeah.
not to jump ahead too far, but we kind of see that with Keela?
Clea?
Clea?
Yeah.
With Clea, where at first she's just this, shop assistant.
Right.
And now we're learning, oh, no,
More and
no.
more.
She's
More and more.
she's an operative.
She's scary.
Yeah.
And she's scary, absolutely.
I said I don't know if you're on that episode or not, but on the episode guide on StarWars.com, it lists her as a master of disguise.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that
okay,
was-
so
yeah.
Is Clea sends not to jump ahead, but just real quick, the order to kill Cassian, is that coming from Luthen, or do you think that's Clea on her own?
yeah, that's something I definitely want to talk on.
We don't know.
But I want to jump to the beginning part here with when we get to Luthen. He gets this unannounced visit, quote unquote unannounced visit from Mon Mothma, and he's smiling, and Clea knows that he's smiling. He's behind like a door, but she knows he would be smiling because we know why Mon Mothma is there now because of the Aldhani operation, and Luthen's like, yeah, I know exactly why she's here, unannounced, and I think that's also very
she was
telling.
clearly there to exchange the gift for Perrin,
Right.
yeah.
You got
Yeah, he liked it. He didn't love it.
And she ended up getting the Utapowan.
Well, she didn't get it. She's like,
She
hey,
said, "You know what? I won't take either of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Your shop is trash."
So
Your
this
shop is trash. Your goods are trash. No one's gonna buy this.
That is where you see, if we're talking about that scene now, that is where you see the mask.
right,
from-
the Temple Guard.
Yeah.
mask.
Temple Guard.
Right,
Like,
right.
I might be
From
back for that Temple Guard mask.
It's such a shame.
Halloween's coming up. I might need something.
It's such a shame there's no Easter eggs in this show.
No.
Really,
Like
really
no
is,
Easter eggs whatsoever.
Lord Mantell reference.
Like, how cool would it be if they had like
Oh my
Indiana
world.
Jones' whip, like frozen in
Man,
carbon?
they should
Yeah.
think about that. They really should think
Or the
about that.
You
fertility
see,
idol.
by the way,
or
you
the
see that
Shankara
great look
stones.
of Plo Koon's mask this time.
From behind.
Yeah.
So when I did that video for the KOTOR channel, I had the still from that, and I switched it out for the one from the actual episode because that was from the trailer, and I realized that shot they moved Plo Koon's mask to where it's in the foreground,
yeah.
and so that shot from the trailer was from
this?
this scene.
Oh, I
And
got
so
you.
That's
Cool.
why. So when I had swapped it out, but yeah, you get a real good look at that. So
And yeah, it seems like seemingly every time we go into Luthen's shop, you're just gonna have to freeze every frame
Right.
and look
Yeah,
around
see
now
new
because
stuff.
they're moving, which makes sense because like when you have a shop like that, you're always moving different things around.
It depends.
Is it a
right?
real temple
because,
mask, though?
Well,
or a replica?
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna ask something else.
No.
It depends, right? If it's just a front and he's not actually selling anything.
Yeah, but you have to keep
gotta
up
sell
that
it.
front. You have to keep
Yeah.
up the.
Sure, unless
I mean, it's not that hard to
He's-
rotate stuff from the
he
back to the
sells
front and from the
stuff.
front to the back. I mean,
yeah, we do.
oh, he definitely does.
Yeah, we do get one
He's
scene
got to
where
eat
he's
it. Dex's
He's
Diner.
gonna-
How
he's
else is he going to afford it?
He's gonna have the occasional like customer walk in
Yeah,
like
yeah.
off the street.
It's not like not like in a 40-year-old virgin where you have an eBay store and you don't sell.
Yeah, and I also let's
like,
be
wait,
honest.
I just want to buy it. It's right
This
there. It's
is
like,
the
no.
Empire we're talking about. Like, he's gonna have to file taxes for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
He needs
that's
proof.
You know what? You're saying that in a joking way. That's actually 100.
Well,
I mean,
actually,
they
that's
even
brought-
reference
for
it.
sure. That's
Sure.
brought up in the
Yeah.
very beginning of
the episode.
where they're
Yularen
like
mentions
5
they need
times,
they need a tax to
5
equal
times
the amount.
Yeah.
Basically, they need to make up the money that was taken.
If his books are wrong, I feel like the Empire's gonna be like, "Why are your books wrong?
Yeah.
Are you
Oh, absolutely.
secretly in the rebellion?" And he'll be
Absolutely.
like, "Yes."
Yeah.
So, Kevin,
wanna
I want to
join?
get your thoughts real quick on this conversation between Mon Mothma and Luthen because it's once again they're smiling through this very tense conversation because Cloris is outside, just looking in, and we all know that, according to Mon Mothma at least, that he's there to basically report on her dealings and whatnot. What did you think of their dynamic? Because I'm curious. Watching this conversation, I was like, did Luthen recruit Mon Mothma or did Mon Mothma recruit Luthen?
Yeah, that conversation was great because it didn't seem like they were on the same page. And the subtitles kind of made me chuckle, but like you hear her shudder and it says shudders.
Yeah.
But
Their subtitles are
you hear her
amazing.
voice quiver
yeah.
when she realizes what has been done because it's like really putting the fucking noose on her and everyone else. So I loved it, and it has my favorite line I think from Luthen, even more favorite than the say it again. Your favorite line.
Fight these bastards for real.
When he says we can't hide forever, and
Yeah.
then it shows him, and it just zooms in on his face, or it focuses on his face, and it's like you don't really know. Like he is so focused on the rebellion that I think he would slit anyone's throat, even Mon Mothma's,
and-
to get to that
Yeah,
end game. So
absolutely.
what
Yeah.
that conversation did for me was make him a little bit more. I know what everybody hates: light, dark, gray. This puts him more in the gray area again, where you don't know. Maybe he did do. That's the thing. Did he send the order for the killing of Cassian? And like, what will he do? And so it makes me nervous about the character. And also between Mon and him, yeah, it just seems like Mon Mothma's like, hey, I brought you into this, and now you're doing this, and he's like, you brought me in here for the.
You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah,
you knew it was going to take,
And
and you can either deal with it or not,
Or
and you can
peace out.
Yeah,
He has that great line about like they've been tightening their grip
Yeah,
slowly.
I have a part of in my notes of like memorable quotes.
Yeah.
and
Nice Leia
and
reference.
the
That's
line is
Yeah, she does.
The Empire has been choking us slowly. We're starting not to notice.
And the I forget the name of the dude in the beginning from the Clone Wars that we're all
Yularen.
Yularen. I think he had a line about like, okay, we're here to decide like how much we want to tighten our grip.
Right.
And then you brought off the line from Leia. She's
Yeah,
like,
the more you tighten your grip, the more systems will slip through your
Well,
fingers.
okay, so you brought up something interesting here.
it's all connected.
He's willing to do anything. We don't know anything about Luthen.
No, that's what I was.
That's
asking.
it's a nice
so-
reminder that you don't.
So who is he? What has vindicated or what has
What sent him on this path?
What? Yeah, right. What has made him this fucking torpedo?
Yeah.
At the Empire.
Are we gonna
right?
see it? Did he have a family?
Yeah,
Right, and like that's what I was starting to ask a couple weeks ago. I'm like, who is this? I hope we get to find out because
Yeah, me too.
I want to know why is he so motivated
Frank,
to take down.
Do you think
the
maybe
Empire?
Frank that he was a Jedi Knight and that's why he's so mad?
Is someone did
What
someone
is-
That's why
say
he
that
has a
out there?
temple.
Oh, I swear
That's
to
why
God.
he has a temple mask.
He's
do you think-
he's an old
do you
temple
think-
guard.
An old temple
Frank-
guard.
Frank, do you think maybe he's an old Keldoran member of the Jedi Council and that's why he's got the Keldor mask? And
He's a great Jedi.
do you think Luthen's a great Jedi?
That's why he has the holocrons. That's why he has.
Yeah,
the
do you think maybe he's an old archaeologist? That's why he's got a whip
he's
and
Indiana
the Shankara.
Jones, right? He's
What's
Indiana
the meeting
Jones.
they're talking about where he's like, keep me up to date on the meeting?
So,
Is that the meeting with
Mon
the friend?
Mothma in
Yeah.
that first
meeting with
She's
with
talking
Tay.
about yeah.
But I
that's-
do think that Luthen is correct. Like he's like, we need the Empire to tighten their grip really hard
Piss
right
more
now
people off.
to wake people the hell up as to like Empire is bad. We need to do something about it.
Yeah, so real quick before we kind of move on to the Mon Mothma stuff, when we get into all her dealings, with this episode or this conversation did give me Saw Gerrera vibes of he's more in line with kind of the Saw Gerrera type of
Especially from
thinking.
the Rebels. From Rebels.
I don't.
too, 'cause Rebels
I don't
was
know that I
about-
agree with that.
The Rebels was talking. Was their
Well, he's like
partisans.
So Mon Mothma was concerned about more suppression on the people, more pain, more oppression upon the people. And Luthen's like, yeah, I need everyone in the galaxy to feel what the Empire is doing. And if people die because of that, then so be it, because I feel like that's the only way people will rise up when they are personally affected, which echoes a lot of our own real world.
Sure. I will say I do think that the biggest difference for me between him and the reason I don't get the Saw vibes as much, which by the way we're going to see Saw at some point in
We
this
are,
series.
which is why I
Okay.
why I think they're going to be like bros.
Well, she says only 3 people in the galaxy know about this.
Clea, Luthen, and her.
Right, but I'm wondering if she's not
Or
I'm won-
Vela, maybe even.
Well,
I don't
no,
know. She knows about
she
Vel.
wouldn't
Vel.
know
I
about.
only she knows about
She
Vel,
wouldn't
yeah.
know about
Yeah,
Vel.
yeah.
But I wonder if she trusts. If she might not be counting Clea, right? She might be talking about Bale or someone
Yeah.
else, right?
I don't think Bale's
and
involved
it
with this
might.
yet.
Right. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Well,
I don't.
actually,
Bale was involved in the deleted
Timeline-
scenes of Episode 3 with the
Right, and also
that's
Lines
another
of the Thousand
timeline.
Systems.
Timeline with
He's not
Rebels.
canon.
Bale's somewhat involved.
What I'm saying, I don't think Bale knows about Luthen and this kind of thing she's got going on with Luthen. Yeah.
I don't know. I would have to go figure out where this sits on the timeline with the first season of Rebels. Because isn't Leia in the
Yeah.
first season of Rebels?
Yeah, she makes a pretty.
She's making a delivery to the Rebel
yeah.
cell. So
but see,
if that's the case, Bale is involved in some way, shape, or form, whether or not.
I think
but,
it's-
But here's the thing, right? Mon Moth. You asked the question: did Mon recruit
Luthen,
or did Luthen recruit Mon? It might not. They might have been independent actors that figured each other out, right?
Could be.
One of them figured the other out.
But I have my own thought on this, and I think Luthen recruited Mon Mothma because he needs the money. He knows Mothma's loaded, and her job was to basically pull from her family fortune,
Right.
and until she couldn't do that
Because now
actively, then
parents-
that's why
right.
why he had to attack that garrison
Yeah.
on Aldhani. So I think he looked at Mon Mothma and everything that she was doing, like she would be in favor of
Well, I don't know because
overthrowing the empire or this rebellion,
because everything she's doing is humanitarian aid, right? Which doesn't
which is a front to an extent.
Sure, but how would Luthen? Well, I guess Luthen is a spy master, so I guess that would be how he knows. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fair. I'm okay with that theory. I don't think it matters one way or the other. My point is that they may have been acting independently, planning other things, right?
It's very likely,
because
yeah.
the delegation of 1,000, and
Sure.
she mentions jumping ahead a little bit. She mentions working with. Does she call them separatist advocacy groups?
Separatist do-gooders.
Yeah.
Separatist. Okay.
She says separatist do-gooders.
Right.
is
Which
the line.
are we using the term separatist to refer to?
That's what I was wondering.
Right,
That's
okay.
You sound like a
question.
separatist.
Right.
I mean, that's what.
Well, and that's what the the delegation 1,000, which is what we see in the deleted scenes for which whether or not that's canon,
it's not by
canon.
all accounts.
It's canon in here.
right in here, but by all accounts.
Canon.
Canon
Wait,
to
is
me,
it in the
damn
is
it.
it in the novelization?
I've never read. The
Okay.
Revenge
It
novel.
probably is, but it's canon in your cut. You need to add it to your cut, your 8-hour cut.
Oh,
Yeah,
you, know what?
you
Actually,
absolutely
I probably
do.
Should. I
should.
probably
Yeah.
should.
Might as
You're
well.
right. I didn't think
Especially
about
with
that.
Rogue One, everything.
And if you can add the conversation of
Yeah, don't worry. I got it.
from
I got
Rogue
it.
One
Yeah, yeah.
when they're on Coruscant, when Krennic and Urso are
Oh,
talking.
that part.
Yeah, just add that in there
Just-
somewhere.
just-
I don't care where.
Because it doesn't make any sense, but yeah, I'll edit it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What
You'd be like,
part?
who are these people?
There's the flashback of Krennic and
you don't
and
see it, right? But you said they had a whole scene with
yeah,
dialogue.
there's a scene of Krennic and Galen on Coruscant.
Flashes where
with-
they're just hugging. It's Urso reminding.
It's
of
a little
things
more.
with the
It's a little more than a flash. He just needs to put it in a transition there
yeah.
somewhere.
Brandon, what did
feel
you
it, bro.
think of this dynamic though between Mon Mothma and Luthen? I mean, and I guess to an extent, how their ideologies. Do you think they're actually gonna stay partnered, or do you think maybe they might split and go off and try and the alliance is not happening today? It's
I feel like they will stay partnered unless she ends up working with Saw Gerrera somehow, because
Well, Brandon, if you watch Star Wars Rebels, you know that.
the Star Wars Rebels talks. She literally, they have conversations. Like I have a memory of them talking and arguing basically, and she does not approve of his tactics. She's like, "What you're doing is actually hurting the
But we don't.
rebellion."
But we
and
don't
not helping."
necessarily know if that was their first encounter or not.
Yeah, but I'm just
So
saying
we
get
could
there.
see their
We know
first
that point.
encounter. So although I'm poking fun, you're 100% right. We may see their first encounter in this series.
yeah, because if her and Luthen aren't talking anymore, she needs an arm, an outreach,
Yeah,
because right now she's just a rich senator who wants to do good, but she needs a secret army
she
behind
needs
her.
She needs
she's a rebel VC.
She needs
Well,
people
I mean-
to go out and do the dirty work.
Okay.
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
to, a,
100%.
to a certain extent, Luthen is. Spoilers for Star Wars Rebels. To a certain extent, Luthen is her fulcrum, right?
Yeah.
For as much as Fulcrum is Bale's agent early on, I don't want to reveal who Fulcrum is. If you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels, go watch it.
You could reveal it. Everybody.
Okay, fine. Ahsoka is Fulcrum.
What?
yeah.
For as much as Ahsoka acts as Fulcrum for Bale, and isn't Cassian's?
He does pop up in.
But isn't he?
I don't know actually.
Someone,
Yeah.
someone was.
Rebels.
Well, someone was labeled
Cassian
as.
Andor isn't
Yeah, doesn't he? He pops up one.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I don't know about that.
does
But
actually,
but I do know.
I feel like
I
that
think
sounds
in
familiar.
I think in the
Well, it's like
visual
none of
guide
you
or something.
watched.
Kevin, you may know this, or Brandon. In the visual guide for Rogue One, I think
own that.
Cassian's labeled as Fulcrum. Go check for me later.
Okay.
Cassian might be labeled as Fulcrum in that, or at some point I think Cassian is referred to as Fulcrum. So, but I'm not
Interesting.
sure. Yeah, a lot of interesting.
So to kind of wrap up this Luthen segment, we're going to let's talk about the Clea meeting up
Right.
secretly with Vel, and this was actually I was kind of taken back by this meetup because you see Vel all Coruscantian, if you will,
Right.
and it further underscores what I've said on this show before, when you meet someone the first time, that's not exactly who they are.
No.
And so there, you could have thought Vel is just one of these, rebel fighters that maybe had a rough life and
Right,
found their way,
like what we see on Hoth or Yavin.
But maybe she actually has had a life on Coruscant. And that's how she ran into Luthen, and that's how she knows him. Yeah. And so to see her all, in that getup of, on Coruscant, I was like, whoa, that's interesting.
Well,
and
it comes back to the conversation with
a getup. She looked nice.
Well, I mean, it's more. That's not her true self. I feel like. But.
No, I don't. I think what we saw on Aldhani is a lot closer to the real Vel.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing their masks when they're on Coruscant.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You
want to buy a death stick?
Completely lost my.
Now you're lost.
Yeah, now I'm lost. Look, guy, fans, friends of the show, fans. I've had a long couple weeks. I was really sick. I'm still not all the way back. Brain's not fully going. But don't worry, this episode is brought to you by 7-Eleven.
They
Buffalo
just don't know
chicken rollers.
Yeah.
You want to buy a death stick, Sean?
You were so sick, that must have been why you said Indiana Jones was replaceable.
Okay, hold on. I think I gave a pretty good argument for it. You know, as much as you disagree with me, I gave a damn good argument for it.
I give you the ball. You have the balls for it. Shout out to Amaru.
Shout out to Rue. We were on his show, which we still don't know.
Can we tell the
name
side
of.
story about that show?
One's got to go.
will
Are you allowed to talk about?
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that.
It's called
We're
One's
gonna
Gotta
talk about
Go.
that at the end.
That's why I wasn't
At
there.
the end,
Yeah.
You should reveal. I didn't know if it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's your story to tell.
it was. I didn't want to talk about it then. Like I didn't want to at the end of his show be like, hey, by the way,
I think
we'll
that was
we'll
funny.
talk about it after.
Yeah.
But I also wasn't in the mood.
Yeah, of course.
It's super interesting seeing Vel because I think that to a certain extent that's going back to this whole idea of Luthen is building a spy network, right? So everyone he has has the ability to blend in, and if they don't, he's teaching them those abilities, right? And Clea brings up, Cinta's in her place. She's where she needs to be.
She's doing what she's told.
She's doing what she's told.
Which is like,
I'm more worried about the ship, and Vel's like, "Don't worry, the ship."
Cinta is more like an agent from Treadstone. It seems like she's
Sure.
just like an activated agent, like on Aldhani, like activate the
She
agent.
just gets
and
out,
Cinta's just
gets her-
on that
her
speeder.
weird,
Activate the shield.
It reminded me of like a ghetto stap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
The single trooper,
the battle droid trooper. Yeah.
battle droid speeders.
Yes.
I love driving those around in the Battlefront.
Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah.
The
that's
old
true.
Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
The old Battlefront 2
Like
where
a
you could
panther.
actually get on a droid thing.
Yeah, but if you bumped into
around.
anything, it just stopped.
Yeah, it was annoying, but still, I never bumped into anything. I was such a good.
But I
pilot.
think one of the questions we were asking before the show and was, is Clea the one giving the order to kill Cassian, or is that coming through Luthen as well? And I want to hear everyone's thoughts on that because I have somehow, I guess, reasoned what it is.
Okay.
Kevin looks like
I think it's Clea only. I don't think Luthen's aware of that.
I
at
kind
all.
of agree
I think
with
Clea
you.
Is
I kind of agree with you.
Clea's more like man. What's the good analogy? Clea is even more like we need to be diehard.
she's more
like,
cutthroat,
and she's even thinking like Luthen, you're starting to ease up a little bit, and that might create tension later.
Well, okay, so
She's the tough balls.
to go back to episode 5. There's the scene where Luthen is looking at like the transponder, trying to see if any messages come through or anything, and Clea's like, "Stop! We're gonna have customers in the morning. We'll know by this time tomorrow." Yeah. Luthen does care. He does care about his agents.
Yeah.
He clearly cares about Cassian, right? Whether or not he is super cutthroat, or whether or not he does care whether the ends justify the means, I do think he cares about the people he has in place, right? Even if for the simple fact that good agents are hard to come by,
sure,
right? You look at simple management techniques, right? The reason sometimes you'll keep a bad employee is because it costs so much to train a new one.
sure.
I mean, you have a very specialized line of work.
You're a bad employee, Frank.
I don't know how to do. Well, I hold on. There's
Yeah.
as well
no,
as
I
well
thought you
as
were
we
going
know
there.
Frank. Do you think Frank is lazy in anything?
But the difference is Luthen's not an not exactly a corporation.
No,
So,
no, you're absolutely right.
Corporations also kind of don't care about
You're
turnover
absolutely
sometimes,
right.
depending on the
Which
size.
means he doesn't have an HR department
Right.
or a recruiting office, which makes it even harder to
he
find.
also doesn't
good
really have a lot of
agents.
money up until this point,
Right.
at least.
So the people he needs, they need to be discreet. They need to be good. They need to, discretion in that they're not going to say, "Oh, I'm working for this," whatever, But so I think even if it's just for a matter of them being hard to replace, he does care. Whereas Clea definitely seems like she's just like, fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
we need to get this done and not get caught. She cares about more. Clea definitely cares more about getting caught than
Then
the end
lives-
justified
yeah,
the
yeah,
means.
yeah.
Because everything she says, everything she's said in that episode is about getting caught. She's like, I'm worried about the transport. Cinta's just following orders. She's where she's supposed to be. Why aren't you?
Yeah, so
I like that line too. Where it's like she's doing what she's supposed to do. or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So my thought on this is that I think it comes with Luthen's, at the very least, approval, because I'm reminded of the line or the scene when he's bringing Cassian to Vel and Aldhani, and they're having this conversation outside the ship, and he's like, "That's the beauty of hiring him. He's expendable." Right? So there is that line. There's also the part, I don't know, it was last
I don't think he
episode.
believes that, though.
Well, the other line that he does say to Clay was that he was a bit careless with Cassian. He knows a little too much, and so I think in the best interest of self-preservation, for one, I think he would be okay with basically terminating Cassian. Right? I think the line, when he first recruits Cassian, he's telling him all this stuff of like, I think I found something, worthwhile, something that can really battle the Empire. To me, that could also just be a guy trying to sell a bill of goods to this guy
I
to
mean,
get him to do
you're-
a job.
So you're absolutely right, but you're absolutely right. Right? He needs, because Cassian is a what's the word I'm looking for?
Motivation, purpose.
No,
Meat
Cassian
stick?
is
Money?
is a skeptic.
Skeptic. Sure.
Cassian's a skeptic, right? He doesn't think you can fight the Empire.
Canarian.
Skeptic. I was looking for the word skeptic. We found it. We got there.
Been in this fight since he was 6 years old.
Well, I still got issues with that line.
I do too, because he's given Jin this hard time, and like he's not a true believer. They gotta like beg
Right.
him to join the rebellion at this point.
Well, maybe he's like a
Well, in Rogue One, he is a true
hold on.
believer.
Maybe
Yeah,
he's,
but he wasn't since he was 6.
Right.
He's
Well,
a grown
hold on.
man.
Hold
He
on.
even says the line in Jin, "Oh, suddenly you have a little loss, and now you can be passionate about it."
unless he's like a born again Christian, and it's been 6 years since he decided
Honestly,
to
I don't-
rededicate himself.
Honestly, I don't care about whether he said he was 6 or 17. I don't care. But so that's how I feel like Luthen would act in this situation. I mean, like if Clay's like, Cassian's got to go, and then Luthen would be like, all right, like he's not gonna put up a fight about it.
Yeah. Well, he's in charge. Well, actually, we don't know that.
We don't
I
know
think
that. That's the thing.
I'm pretty sure he's in charge. He's the boss.
Do you feel in charge?
I mean, yeah, he's the one going out there setting up the spy network.
Over me.
Yeah, he's definitely the one setting up the spy network, which he confirms to Mon Mothma that
Right.
the network is set up. So let's get to the Mon Mothma stuff, because that leaps off her leaving Luthen, because this has implications too for Cassian and really, well, everything else throughout this episode.
Yeah.
Because this cocktail party.
I like what you did there. You kind of did it in a way that you were talking to us for a minute, and then you, like, as you were telling us where we were picking the show back up, you rolled into show speak.
That's how good he is.
It was really impressive.
Okay, well, thanks for pointing it out to everyone out there.
I wanted to give you props, motherfucker.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
the
you.
compliment.
I don't need the props during the show.
guys, we have plenty of
it's only-
props.
I have something to say that I saw on Twitter, and then I did research. There is a tree inside her place.
Yeah.
You see the tree with the white flowers. It's
Yeah,
called
it's one
a
of
tent
the
olive
it's
tree.
one of the white trees of Nimloth.
Yes. And no. You're making jokes now, but actually in canon, they're tent olive trees, and they're from her home world of Chandrila. When after the Battle of Jakku is lost for the Empire, Mas Amida, the Grand Vizier, who she mentions in that scene,
Yeah.
the Grand Vizier is tightening his grip. She's basically in her house under those trees. So when after the Battle of Jakku and the Empire loses, Mas Amida surrenders the Empire to Mon Mothma on Chandrilia under a
that
tint
tree.
olive tree.
Cool.
So I thought that was really cool.
on Chandrilla.
If you
Very
do,
cool.
yeah, I saw a tweet about that, and then I got a little deeper into the weeds with that, as it were. But yeah,
That's
it's really
actually
cool
super interesting.
that's in her home, and it's the home world flower basically. And then she's talking about the Grand Vizier, and then it just so happens that in the future canon, that's he surrenders the Empire under that very tint olive tree. So
Yeah, and
no Sly Moore though.
I
no
have
slime.
those same boots.
No slime more. The what boots?
I have those same boots
Same boots.
that Slymore wears.
Oh, okay, cool. No one knows what you're talking about.
No one knows.
All right, so we get into this Mon Mothma dinner party that Perrin
That
probably has put on, right?
Sheev was not invited.
Sheev was not there. He was not
Sly
there.
Moore was invited, but she didn't show up.
Well,
maybe she
okay,
was there
hold on.
earlier.
We
Maybe-
were talking about
And then
that
left
it's
'cause
possible
he was
that
bored.
we're talking about that it's possible that was a different party they were referencing.
Thanks for the invite, Perrin.
Well,
this
but
is
it
the
does
cocktail
make
party
sense,
of
right?
the year.
Because this was more of a cocktail party,
Yeah.
and what was being
Because they
planned
were
was a dinner
talking
party.
about a seating chart and the
I mean,
the dinner
Maybe
party
this
was
is
like,
the cocktail party after the seating after the meal.
There were too many people to fit at the table.
Yeah.
Legitimately, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I love
and-
that this is the stuff that we deep dive
Well,
about.
hold on, but it does reflect life on Coruscant and the life of La Mothma, of Mon Mothma.
La Bamba.
And Take Homa does reference like it's amazing that you live this life. This
Yeah.
is so different. This is so
Yeah.
affluent
put
and
up with
exorbitant. How do you put up with it? Because Perrin is very much this like, oh, I'm throwing another party. I'm throwing another party. I'm throwing another party. He's probably
trying to make connections. He's
this is probably
networking.
we don't know that he's like got a job or anything. You know,
You don't need a job.
like he's probably a lobbyist. I mean,
yeah, he's
Yeah,
still-
he has lobbyist vibes.
but
for
do you get what I'm
The
saying?
death stick
Like this is
lobby,
his life.
probably.
His life is putting on these parties. You know, so
he's probably like an intermediary between
maybe yeah,
He's probably
people-
well liked in all those circles too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, it
probably
seems
in,
like
probably
he
in
sounds
a
like a
lot
fun
of
dude.
circles.
which is interesting because considering who his wife is, I don't know. That is interesting. I don't know.
Well, but it could be a matter of because we're kind of jumping around here, but it could be a matter of she brings up the fact that she's not that senator who everyone thinks she is, who she plays.
She's talking to
this.
She's talking to
this.
Tay.
I don't know what word she says, but this speed, like she acts like she's an irritant.
An irritant. Yeah.
Irritant is the word that she uses. I'm not that irritant, right? To imply that she's not just an irritant, she's more.
yeah,
You know.
that's cool.
So it's super interesting that like maybe the loyalist Imperials are friends with Perrin just so they can see what the fuck's going
Yeah.
on with Mothma, right?
For sure. I mean, yeah.
You know.
I mean, that could absolutely be it. I will say. So getting into further like this whole scene, this whole sequence with Mon Mothma and Tay Colma, this is a scene I've been looking forward to because this is one of the most interesting parts of the trailer.
Well, and
where
we
she's
see-
talking to Tay on that couch,
Mm-hmm.
and he asks, "What are you doing?" And
I like how she throws the line back at him. You wouldn't like my taste
Yeah.
might be a bit too strong.
oh yeah, it throws right back at him.
Another
and
good quote too is the stone in one hand hides the knife.
Yeah, I have that on my.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
that,
She's like, I
yeah.
learned that from Palpatine.
She's like, I've been learning from Palpatine. With the line here. Hold on, I have it.
Well, and also it's the other
Focus
thing.
on the stone in my hand, and you will.
I
miss
show you the
knife.
stone in my hand. You miss the knife at your throat.
Yeah.
The thing about it is,
Check out my stone.
we've for a long time had to kind of separate Palpatine and the Emperor, right? Like they're almost two, purposely so. They're two very different people. But to Mon, who's someone who's been in the Senate, who's seen Sheev become chancellor,
Yeah.
and then morph into the Emperor, right?
Yeah.
Like there is this
Yeah.
solid timeline
Listen.
for Sheevan.
You remind me, and I'm aging myself here, but when I was in college before Episode 3 came out, in 2000, well, I wasn't in college anymore, but before Episode 2 came out, But the trailers were out, and you see him, and remember they started to make Palpatine start to look a little more decrepit.
Yeah.
And then he looked good again in Episode 3, which was weird. I think they abandoned the idea. I think originally they were trying to make dark side energy slowly corrupt him.
Right.
Because like if you see Episode
Yeah,
2,
yeah,
like he
yeah.
had purple
That's
under his
true.
eyes, and then all of a sudden he was.
Are you talking about
Palpatine? But I remember back in
hold
2000.
on, but are you talking about the Darth Sidious version of him or the Senator
Palpatine,
version?
Senator.
Yeah, he looked.
Yeah,
I,
you're right.
I
He
would
does
create
look
a
older in
grand
Attack of the
army, and he has the
Clones.
purple under his eyes. And then in Episode 3, he's like white hair, but perfect complexion, basically. But long story short, I didn't mean to derail too long.
No, you're fine.
But back when that movie was coming out, there were some people think there were some radical ideas on theforce.net. Shout out to that, where people thought that perhaps Palpatine was good all along, and that Sidious was a different person that was going to later kill Palpatine. So there'd be a crazy twist where you see Senator Palpatine get killed by Emperor, who looks just like him, whether it was a clone or a twin of him. But that's back in the day.
That's
'Cause you were saying how you couldn't be night and day between the two of them from outside.
well, and
observers.
it's so that's such a Legends theory too, with like with stuff like the heir to the Empire,
Yeah.
with the Thrawn trilogy, this whole idea of like the Clone Wars. That's when the evil Jedi came because they were evil clones of the Jedi. Like it's so that does work with Legends.
Definitely from that era.
Yeah, very much of
But
that
yeah,
era.
going back to what you're saying, how the public must have seen it almost like two different type of
Well,
people.
and we've all talked about masks, right? And this scene so eloquently, every few minutes,
Smile.
smile.
Just smile.
Smile.
Talk.
Just
It was
smile.
a little walk and talk Aaron Sorkin style with
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
I was like,
Love
hell
the
yeah,
walk and
dude.
Which
Hell yeah.
Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith do so well.
Yeah.
But this one, I love the framing of it because we kind of get to see the whole party and the whole, like, very much like my favorite parts of A New Hope and The Force Awakens are seeing all the backdrop people in the cantina or Maz's castle, right? So this gave us all of that in all of its glory,
Except Slime
except Slymore.
Dude, you gotta you're really hard up for Slime
I
Moore,
just
man.
wanted to see what she was up to.
I mean, does she still look as good as she did?
but
I
she
mean,
does,
you know,
dude. I
Okay,
think
bro.
Slime Moore don't. She probably
All
ages
right.
very good.
You know what they say? Sly don't die.
I was trying to do
Man, I don't know exactly what happened because I was looking at my notes.
Do we think
you just
Palpatine
cut
ever
that
does
out.
anything recreationally?
Huh?
Yeah, like, he has like friends.
Maz.
he
He's
just,
all
like,
into
hangs out.
racquetball.
Maz, meet me on the badminton court.
He plays bingo too.
Oh yeah, he's a big bingo guy. Yeah. He's the one that turns
My racquetball score is
Oh,
unbeatable.
66. Oh, 66. Is O under 60? That would be funny if it was.
I
bingo.
really,
bingo. Yeah,
Oh,
B-I-N-G.
66?
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know the numbers. Never mind.
I am a champion
fans, sound out
skee-ball
below
player.
in the comment section.
Unlimited balls.
Wow. Okay.
So let's settle this feud at the arcade.
the line that she's trying to like, what's interesting between this conversation of Mon and Tay was, she was like, I was thinking all day about how can I if I can confide in you.
Yeah.
Love that.
And so they're playing like this cat and mouse game of Tay's like, hey.
You know what it reminds me of? Back in the Schmodown days, when I would know something about the Schmodown and I would talk to you, I'd be like, hey, so did you hear about the thing?
Yeah,
and you'd
yeah.
be like, yeah, I mean, kind of.
Yeah,
Did you
I
hear about the
mean-
thing? And I'd be like,
Oh,
you know about the thing about the thing? And you'd be like, oh, about the thing? And then we'd be like, oh, we both know. And then we would laugh it off.
Yeah.
Very similar. Don't worry, anybody from
Can't
that
relate.
era.
Yeah.
they're not
Also, it doesn't
watching.
matter
I
anymore.
know, it doesn't matter anymore.
No, I don't know what you're.
I loved. There was one time I didn't get that, and it was when I got a text message from Frank, PJ, and a couple other people all at the same time. I just got fired.
Oh, that one?
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
God.
the only time there was no like, hey, do you know? Like, and that was
Yeah.
all of us, right?
yeah. Okay.
Mine was more about returns than
Well,
coming.
but so
That was
so
the one. I could say it
on
about the Sam Levine, and we had a conversation,
Yeah.
which we were living together, and I was like, "Hey, did you hear about the big return? Like,
Oh,
this is
yeah,
like
yeah.
months before he was ever going to return." And you're like, "Yeah, did you hear about it?" And I'm like, I don't know. Did you?" And then we both came to it. So that was them. Tay.
Then we
By
both
the way,
came.
poor Tay. Tay is done. I know I'm always the guy that's like, "How long is this person
Well,
going to live?"
he-
Tay is going to
I don't
die
know.
for the cause. Dude.
you know who he reminds me of is the Supreme Chancellor Chancellor
Valorum?
Valorum.
I thought it was him at
Yeah,
first.
I thought it was a weird
okay. You're talking about,
recast
like,
of
physically.
Valorum.
You're
I
talking
saw
about physically.
Solo,
I
a
was
Star
like,
Wars
okay.
story, and I remember I blanked out during Maul's return. That scene, the
Yeah.
cameo at the end. I remember I for a second just lost the timeline, and I'm like, oh shit! They're like Maul, yeah, this is like before, and then I was like, wait a second, no, this is not the same timeline. So at first, when I was like, oh my god, that's Valorum, but like Valorum, they ousted.
Yeah,
he would
he's
never
been
be
gone
there,
forever.
but like,
well, my
he had
dad,
very Valorum.
my pops did the same thing when we saw. He's like, wait, so this takes place before? How old's Han? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know, but like your brain just suddenly
Yeah.
is like, oh, cool. It's like, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought he was very
it was so
Valorum.
interesting. He's her line of when he says you'd find my politics a little too strong for your
Yeah.
taste.
Love that line.
Her line of he
That's
asked
basically
her,
him
he asked,
saying-
but he asked her like, "Are you okay? Like, have I gone too far? Is this too much?"
Right.
And she says, "No, you've set me free."
Yeah.
I loved that line so much because it shows that she's been holding all of this in,
Yeah.
and to find out that her childhood friend, who she needs to ask this huge fucking favor, is on her side.
And
Like,
I think she picks up.
felt that tension
She
break.
picks up when he says, "My taste might be too strong for you."
Yeah.
When she replies back to him, that was basically their unplanned but code word, like, "Yeah, I am pro rebellion," and then her saying it back to him, "Yeah, it might be too strong for your taste," means that let's leave it unsaid, but we both know what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought that whole conversation
I loved
is
it.
one of the best things this show has done, and it's done a lot of great
It's
things.
it's the best, like, it's the most subtlety we've gotten in Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Because
know-
you're really trying to like decipher what they're saying, because they're also trying to decipher what each other is saying, and you're along with them in that conversation.
But I even mean like subtlety in acting. Right?
Oh, sure.
Like, I mean, I don't know. That scene for me, it's
Let's give props to Genevieve O'Reilly too. Again, I think
Oh,
I
yeah, she's
mentioned a
been
couple episodes ago,
phenomenal.
but like in this scene and then the scene with Luthen too, with
Yeah.
again, remember she was cast because probably she just kind of looked like Caroline
Yeah.
Blackiston, and the fact she had very little to do in episode 3. In fact, most of those scenes got cut. All of them got cut, right?
Yeah.
with nothing.
not a
She was
single.
never in
Yeah.
there, yeah.
And then
She's
in
not
Rogue
in that
One,
movie
she was
whatsoever.
back, and she was back for like the walking up and the wink, and basically like here I am.
yeah.
But like her acting in this is like on par with acting in any like legit HBO show or movie.
Right.
Like she's
No, it's
just
like-
so.
I mean,
good.
this scene was a scene out of Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
You know,
100%.
Very
like,
yeah.
100%,
Littlefinger.
man.
Yeah, well, good version of Littlefinger. Like two good people. Yeah, never mind. Just ignore.
Like
me.
Laris Strong. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
There's a really great interaction or back and forth between Tay and Mon, and he goes, "You haven't answered my question," and she says, "And I won't."
yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was just like, oh, that just really just struck me really, really hard, because it's, look, yes, we are on the same wavelength, but I can't let you in
100%.
on how much, because you need some level of protection if
Yep.
you're going to do this charitable thing for me so you can help bring over my family fortune so that I can use it for means you don't need to understand or know right now, if ever, really, because you probably would want to protect him as much as she can. So I thought that whole interaction coming to a head before Perrin comes in, and also very telling. We said this, I think we kind of, well, at least I can compare Perrin and Mon's relationship to Bix and Tim, where Bix didn't trust Tim, and this even further solidified Mon does not trust Perrin at all, because she outright says it to Tay.
Yep.
I don't know what you guys thought about that actually being said out loud.
I thought it was a very cathartic line. Like it was something that, like, cathartic as a viewer. This sort of like it's like the opposite of dramatic irony, I guess.
Like your suspicions are confirmed.
Well,
That-
yeah, I mean, because there's this, the concept of dramatic irony in literature is the audience knows something that the characters don't,
sure.
right? This was like the opposite of that, where the characters characters know something. It's so obvious to them. We just haven't gotten that, confirmation yet. And it was a very cathartic line for me. I also think that it shows Mon confiding in Tay in a way that is so strong and so definite. Like, hey, this is real.
What if they had a romantic past, or if they loved each other, but she was in this arranged marriage with Perrin or something?
Yeah, I think that I
They
do.
don't need to go there, but I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Well, no, I do think that subtext is
I wonder if
implied.
they snuck away to the closet and shared a little. Of
They
rebellion
snuck
with
away
each other.
to the lake country.
Had some Revnog at the Lake Country.
Some Revna, yeah.
The green Revnog.
Green. Oh yeah, I
The
can't.
green one,
wait,
you
so
liked
we're
it.
gonna get into
Did
that.
you pick up the Pizzos when we went to 7-Eleven? You get some
Yeah,
Pizzos?
you got some Pizzos.
Brought
Yeah.
to you by Pizzos. I feel like Pizzos are either like
Pizzo.
like chips or Cheez-Its or like Skittles. I don't know if it's candy
I think pizzos are a like sort of a pastry with a meat and cheese filling.
Okay.
Oh, wow. It's very,
Like,
very
like-
oddly specific. that
Like
you would
not
think that.
like almost like a pizza bite, but like it's more
okay,
a little
Pizzos.
more savory, like roast beefy with some cheddar.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking more Starburst style, like it's candy.
But you think it's candy? Okay.
Yeah, candy with Revnog. You know, green Revnog and candy. You know, it's like, what do you think?
This is,
I like Jawa juice.
Tim makes a mean cup of Jawa juice,
You're gonna
and
make a
that's
short-
well,
your boys.
he used to, cause that boy is dead.
I'll
So-
tell you what. You do a short about Pizzos, it's gonna go viral. You heard it here first,
Folks, if
or
you're
second.
watching this Pizzos short,
We
like,
just-
share, subscribe, comment,
brought to you
Yeah.
by
send in your super chats.
Pizzos, and I'm proud that we are able to say
And
Pizzos.
ring that notification bell like that one guy on Ferrix that goes like, bing, bing, bing.
What was his deal?
That was his deal.
the
The whole thing.
mailman.
That was his whole deal.
right.
What are you talking about? It was pretty plain.
Beijing,
All right.
Mr.
Hey, what's your deal? I banged this
I hit
anvil.
Someone's got to wake you lazy bums up, am I right?
They haven't invented
Do you
alarm
think
clocks
that
yet.
Tay? Do you think Tay banged Mon Mothma like that guy banged the bell? Is what I'm gonna say. In the
yeah.
closet.
Like that.
Okay.
Bing,
Bang,
bing,
I
bing.
gotta
You can
cut
cut that out, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're worried about.
No,
Well, that amongst other things.
you're not actually cutting that out.
I'm actually.
I
proud
feel
of
like we got
Why?
to talk about Marva.
You're gonna butcher this fucking episode.
Are we almost there yet? We gonna wrap this up. Get some Marva talk and some Bix talk.
We gotta
Yeah,
talk about,
yeah,
We gotta
so-
talk about Cyril and the Bureau of Standards too.
Well, yeah,
Come on,
we'll-
guy, keep it going. Stop letting us distract you. Let's go. Next topic. He's gonna kill himself.
I probably will. Yeah.
It's gonna be
kill
4.
us.
By the way, hi Frank at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Still editing this.
So all right, so I was so excited to finally get us back to Ferrix.
Yeah.
It was nice to kind of see that. I don't know how much meat there is there aside from character building though, because
You think
we've
we're
already
done there.
I have some
I mean,
thoughts.
So
for
Cassian-
this episode. I mean, right? Because everything that's sort of developed on in this episode with what's going on Ferrix, we've seen 2 episodes ago. Everything else was just the world or the character building between Marva, Bix, and Cassian.
it's
right?
definitely about Cassian seeing
Coming.
the consequences of his actions and what
Ooh.
what happened because of what he did. And Bix says it right to his face. Basically, he's like, "You killed 2 corporals. You came, and then you came back here.
You know what's
and
what's
now,
funny?
because
That's
of, yeah. What?
it's so interesting that you're going there, because that's not the kind of character building I was seeing from this episode.
Oh, I mean that's part of what's.
I
Going
think
on
it's
here.
part of it,
Yeah.
but for me it was more
Marva.
Marva
Oh,
and
100%.
coming to the realization that hey,
She can walk down that square now,
well,
smiling.
well, and there are people who want to fight. This is not just people on the fringes. This is my own mother.
And
Yeah.
Cassian didn't even everybody wants their approval from their parents or their parental figures. Like she's literally praising the people that pulled off the heist, and he couldn't even tell her.
She says
They're heroes.
they're heroes.
And he doesn't even call it and say,
And-
I was part of that,
Right.
let's go.
Yeah.
And think about that. Like when he realizes like, oh my God, like she believes in the cause now, and it's chipping away at this rough exterior of Cassian refusing to want to do good, and we're slowly, remember, we got to get to him where he's willing to sacrifice his life at the end of Rogue One, right? And what a great overall arc, by the way, from thief to the freaking Death Star. Like,
Well, I don't
that's
know
what
that-
we're gonna see.
I don't know that he was willing to sacrifice. Well, no, yeah, okay, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
well, I
he
don't.
was.
He was willing to die.
Sure.
All those people knew
Yeah,
that it was
yes,
a one-way mission to
absolutely.
Scarif. I think they figured that.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Which is why they didn't want to do it.
It was
Yeah.
it was
Like,
a suicide.
What
yeah.
is she proposing?
So
suicide.
I just think it's cool his overall arc. It's going from like just modest thief, right, to where he's going to end up, which is taking down literally the biggest threat to the galaxy he's ever seen. But this is just the next chapter of it. He's now seen that even his own mom basically is saying, "No, I'm going to stay here." And even if it's oppressed, like they don't remember how she says, like, "Oh, they're not reaching me in here. Like I'm already there."
Right.
Yeah.
She's got her own paradise in her
Cassian
mind.
is
They
wrong, by
can't-
the way, too. Jumping ahead, I'll go somewhere where the Emperor. No, the Empire is everywhere now. Even
he's
and
even in Miami.
How ironic that he dies on a paradise planet occupied by the Empire.
Yeah.
Right.
Sunscreen
For
on.
me, it seemed like they were alluding to the fact that Marva's been a part of the rebellion, and maybe that's why Luthen knew so much about Cassian, because she knows Luthen and she's the one that provided
never
him
thought
with
about
that.
that.
No,
I never.
No,
I don't know.
and I don't know that because for me it's implied that Cassian when Cassian was fighting at 6 years old, that he was a separatist.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the rebellion is essentially, if you really step back and think about it, the separatists are the good guys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
100%. The
yes.
separatists are what become the rebellion to an extent. So I think it more goes to that, right? Like she's already fought this fight before, and now that it's even worse, of course she's going to fight the fight again. Especially when her, we see the flashback of Clem with the
not equal height.
the clone troopers.
troopers.
Okay, we talked about this before the episode. We're going to talk about this again in a minute. We see that flashback. I mean, her own husband was killed by the Empire for trying to break up a fight.
Yeah, creative how they do that too. It wasn't just the standard like, he got like interrogated. Like actually, he was the one trying to quell it, and he just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time after doing that. But how geeked out am I every time I see any clone trooper in live action?
Again, because
Just like in
I say
Chrono.
again,
Aren't
we
you
actually
a little short for a clone trooper.
we didn't have we didn't have a show when Obi-Wan came out. But Obi-Wan was the first time we saw clone trooper armor
and
in
I
live action.
Freaked out
Right,
when I
right.
saw it. It was great.
And it looks so fucking good. That phase 2 or phase 3 clone trooper armor.
It's because of the reflections.
So good.
Because you couldn't in CGI. Like I love it on the
You
show. By the way,
can
Clone
now
Wars, you can. But like
with-
back then in episode 2 and 3, you just really didn't get. I think they did a good job with the clone troopers outside the Jedi Temple when he's like, "It's time for you to leave." Like that was the closest they got. But like the ones in episode 2, it was just
A lot of them in episode 3 are very uncanny valley. The bodies move, and it almost seems like the head's trying to catch up. Like it's very strange. But with modern ray tracing, you can get the reflections right. But still, it's no match for those actual suits. So I have a response. The shorter clone troopers. I have 2 answers for you. So answer number 1.
I would like you to choose only one answer.
Well, answer number one
best
is the practical real world answer. Is that they use 501st cosplayers for all their clone troopers
That's
and
probably,
stormtroopers.
obviously, yes.
But also
story-wise.
where we're at on the timeline, they've already began replacing clone troopers with actual enlisted stormtroopers, but they haven't necessarily started phasing out the armors yet. So those
That's
are
as seen in the Bad Batch, right?
right. Those are most
The helmet
likely
fly off a guy, and they're like, "Whoa."
you're not a clone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are most likely enlisted, non-cloned humans in clone trooper armor.
And I do
But
wonder if clones, if I cloned you per se, right? First of all, the world would be blessed with 2 of you. But like, I don't believe that you would be exactly the same height. Like a clone would clone your DNA.
I mean, you
but
could
doesn't
have
mean you have to be the
You could have a
exact height.
25-year-old
Kevin,
clone and a 17-year-old clone.
Kevin, I have a twin.
Yeah, that's actually ironic that I forgot about that. You do have a twin.
We're talking about this. I do have a twin, so
But you're not a
Twin's not a clone.
no, and I'm also a fraternal twin.
Were
so
you
we're not
born
even
on
the same.
Camino, guy?
Tapoca City?
Would you like to have one?
Do you know
to
Lama
grow
Su?
slower of yourself so you can raise yourself?
No, that's weird.
Me either.
That's all
I would-
weird.
I would
Yeah,
want to
that's-
raise myself. I knew
that's-
how I was as a kid.
Do you know Lama Su?
Dad, don't we see?
He knows Tanwi, not Lama Su. He knows Tanwi. All right, so
Tell Tanwi I said so.
I think really the
You like
crux
her because of her neck.
the crux of
Yar poof. Go ahead.
the crux of Cassian going back
Like
to
long
Ferrix is Jesus. Going back to Ferrix is that he's basically trying to, first of all, he pays off his debts, which was a nice thing to do,
Honorable.
and the whole conversation though with Marva, him also somewhat not reconciling, but getting flashbacks to when Clem, his adoptive father, basically is murdered by the Empire. or hung in the streets, and even Marva is like, I can't go down this road. I can't go to the square and not picture that. And so
And then
that,
and yesterday I dressed up in my Sunday best and walked through there with a
With
smile.
a smile,
And
thanks to that robbery.
yeah, thanks to the robbery that was,
The spark.
unbeknownst to her and to Cassian, or he does find out basically that he inadvertently has inspired his mother, Marva, which I thought, and I thought for a split second he might say, that was me. I thought he might say that for like a split second, and then,
Or something like, I was there, they weren't heroes.
or maybe I didn't think of that. I mean,
He'd be.
Well, he was trying to say. He
he'd be
did
doing
say,
the
"Look,
thing-
it was just a robbery." Like
he'd
it
be
was
pla-
almost. He was trying to almost clear
play it
himself.
down, like
Yeah.
play it
Like
down,
playing it
yeah,
down. Like,
sure.
look, I did it for the money.
But he could
Yeah.
do the stressed out. There's this certain thing Diego Luna does when he's trying to really emphasize a point, where he does the stressed out Cassian, where he says, "I was there.
yeah,
They weren't
Yeah,
heroes.
yeah.
They weren't. So
they weren't heroes.
He pulls out Nemec's manifesto and he goes, "I have a book I think you'd really like."
yeah. Or I could have seen
Saw
him
the crazy theory
leaving.
about that.
Leaving the manifesto. Oh,
what?
I just big brained for jump ahead.
Oh, what?
We'll get there.
We'll
Okay,
get there.
okay.
There's a crazy manifesto theory too. I
PID
saw on
Moody
Twitter.
brain guy.
I just droid attack on the Wookiees.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
There's a really towards the end of their talk, basically, she says, you can't stay and I can't go. She's basically
line.
she's tired of running and hiding.
Right.
She's old now and she's been through all of this crap.
Well, and
they've killed her husband basically,
and to a certain extent, I think she's trying to protect Cass.
yeah, it's
Right?
be like you got.
She doesn't want him here, so that when she gets killed fighting the
He won't be-
Empire,
yeah.
he's not there.
He won't be there.
What a great character. She
and
nailed.
so-
She nailed it too. By
God.
the way, acting wise.
Yeah,
I
the-
think
the
she-
line that the line that really just kind of set it up was, she's like, you can't say I got,
And I
you can't
go.
say I gotta go, and he goes, I won't have. She goes, go and find your peace. Take your money and go find your peace. And he says, I won't have peace. I'll be worried about you all the time. and
That's
she goes,
just
that's just love.
And I loved B2 emo the whole time. Can I speak?
I was
can
honestly
speak
like,
now?
why are they being so rude to
That's
people?
what I thought
that's
of
me
your
in the
toy
corner.
when it popped
I
back
feel
in.
so there's they're robots, right? But there's so much emotion in Star Wars droids, and the fact that B2 emo never gets to say anything to Cass this episode. Not really. There's
Yeah.
never a
He's
full
trying to say something. I wonder
He-
if that was a point.
Yeah, he was so excited to go because ultimately B2 is a little puppy
Yeah,
that misses his owner, right?
yeah.
He's got mom, but this is the son that grew up and played with him, right?
And then I thought it was really interesting. This line kind of really was like, why were you throwing this in there? She goes, oh, by the way, stop looking for your sister.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we're not done with this.
No one-
we're not done with
That was
this.
a nice reminder. Like, and
Yeah.
even me, I was like, oh wow, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. No one survived on Kenari.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your
And
responsibility.
it wasn't
you were
your
a kid.
fault. All of it, man.
Yeah.
She's
So then,
such a good actress, and there's some of her best acting was in
Yeah.
a scene from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, which was cut. But you can find it online. It's when she actually has a final conversation with Harry in the house before they depart, and it's very good. And like her acting was good in that. 'Cause she's kind of a very caricature.
she's a cartoon, yeah.
character in those movies, but in that scene, she actually is a little
Well,
more
there's
real with him.
when we get closer to the end of the series, she gets a little less. All of the Dursleys get a little less cartoony, but yeah.
so moving on to
Miami.
Kevin's Kevin's favorite.
Miami, Florida.
Well, wait, we're skipping Cyril.
No, we just haven't covered Cyril.
We
We
just
haven't
So we're
haven't-
gonna go there
yeah,
to the end.
yeah,
That's your
because
grand
there's
finale?
really not
We
that
should.
much
Our
there.
grand finale should be Miami.
You want to talk about my?
Yeah,
okay.
let's talk about
Like,
Miami.
Cyr-
So
Oh,
Cyril,
Miami last. Okay. Yeah. Cyril. I mean,
Yeah,
so
Cyril-
Save vacation for the end.
Cyril's pushing paper.
yeah, he's a.
Did you see something that I saw? I don't know. The mouse droid. Everybody saw that, right?
God, I hope
But
so.
in every Star Wars, every Star Wars. It's very good. Every Star Wars you've ever seen, the mouse droid is moving around and then looks at something, whether it's Chewie and runs away, Vader turns around and runs away, but it's always getting out of the way of something, right?
Yeah.
Watch the scene again. How
He's the one that
Cyril
gets-
is the one who moves over.
Yeah,
from
he
the
gets
mouse
out of the
droid.
way.
Just
Yeah.
shows how little confidence Cyril has.
That's a good
and
point.
now I want
That's
to
a
ask
great
that
point.
question too: Is Cyril? so focused because he wants to become. He saw what that rebellion is. He wants to be a rebel, or is he wanting to be super Imperial? Because right now, I don't think that we know.
I think I have a theory for this.
Yeah, there's theory.
I don't think Cyril has had a reason yet to.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the call to action yet, right?
He's just kind
if
of
you look
floating
at
around
if you
there.
look at the Joseph Campbell Hero's
He
Journey.
was looking at Cassian's hollow still. Like, so is he
Right.
looking at the hollow,
But- but-
admiring him? Like, wow, he
because-
did all of that? Or
because
he's
in
pissed?
his mind,
He
because in
hates
his mind, Cassian is evil and the Empire is good.
Yeah.
So, to him, however boring this job is, right now, it is a government job, right? It's the Department of Weights and Measures, whatever Imperial version of that is, So this is
Bureau of Standards.
he is a civil servant,
Yeah.
to an extent.
It's going to help clear his record by his boss, who has a necktie. Did you
Well,
see that?
and I loved
Star Wars version.
I
of it.
love that his boss was like, "Well, let's start right now. Let's erase this before we fire."
Well,
the
before
it.
all that, he gives Cyril gives
He
this whole
gives the-
spiel. He gives a whole spiel of like, I was just trying to,
was just trying
serve
to-
the Empire. 2 co-workers are dead. Like he knew those guys. Like
Right.
first of all, he didn't.
Do you think
so,
his mind will change though? Do you think he'll realize that the
I
Empire
think
are
he's-
the bad guys, and then he
I
doesn't want to be part of
do.
that?
I don't.
I
actually.
do.
I don't.
I do.
Okay.
I think it'll be too late. I think he's a tragic character. I think it will be too late. I think that because ultimately the writers of the show have done a very good job
Yeah.
of writing real world issues and real world characters into Star Wars, right? I think they are showing the timid sort of, someone.
Oh, man, you can't say the word Tim in front of him, man. What do you think?
You fucking
I
loser.
think they're showing the person who thinks they, who have been fed this political information, who have been fed this propaganda, right? And are too timid to get out there and actually have beliefs that aren't given to them, right? So I think he's a tragic character. I think ultimately we will see a change of heart from him, but it will be way too late.
Do you think he does something that causes like?
He's going to do
Great.
something that causes something bad to happen,
And he'll be like,
and
"Fuck, I did that."
probably get him killed.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, like Tim.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
Yeah, because ultimately Tim is the same story. You're joking about the ghost of Tim over there, but it absolutely is the ghost of Tim, right? Tim thought
Do the right. I'm gonna
for
do the right.
for bad, for selfish reasons,
Jealous reasons.
for
Yeah, he's
jealousy
jealous.
reasons.
Yeah.
But he thought he was doing the right thing, right? He
Yeah.
thought, well, Cassian's a criminal. He's nothing but a pain in the ass to everyone on Ferrix.
It's her ex.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're each other's
and
exes.
and he even says, "Quit bothering
yeah.
Bix," right? So he doesn't even see them as friends or co-conspirators.
Right.
It's quit bothering her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I mean, so it was really interesting with Cyril there. Basically, the TPS reports, as Force Center would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't have. I mean, this
I've
is
been-
just
Do you,
completely.
do you think in a few years he's gonna say, "I believe you have my hollow
oh my
saber"?
gosh!
I
I
believe
hope
like,
so.
you-
I hope so.
My coworkers were killed, and I was just trying to help, and then I was going to burn the place down, and then
All right. Do we want to talk about Miami, Kevin?
Viva Miami.
It's Niamos. Niamos.
Space
I know you
Miami.
made fun of me, but I don't know. But Star Wars managed, and I wonder if it was named because of it. But Niamos just looks like Miami. There's very similar letters to
Yeah.
it. I know you're saying you're
God,
making fun.
I mean, there's people in Hawaiian.
two letters.
There's people in space
two
Hawaiian
letters,
shirts.
more than that.
M?
Miami.
You know what? I'm
M-I-A.
sorry.
3 letters.
I'm-
yeah.
I'm
Then
sorry.
Then I again.
2
for
letters
M-
and a vowel.
But I
Two
and Miami
vowels.
has 2 I's, guy. So you're basically 4 out of the 5 letters of Miami are in Niamos.
All right, okay, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's definitely
Bienvenidos
got
a
this like
Niamos.
sort of.
They look like Miami.
It's definitely got this sort of like south
Sandals.
like
It's
south.
the Sandals and Beach Resort.
Well,
is
no,
what
it's definitely like a Miami like kind of Malibu or Redondo.
Miami has flair. Niamos does not have any
not
type of flair.
not all
Or
parts of
culture, really.
Not every part of Miami does though.
Well, I mean,
Here's
right? the tourist part you go
fun
to.
fact: the filming location for this place was at Clevelly's, which is in the United Kingdom. So that's why it looked like
Hello.
Miami, but in like the winter. It was, you know what I mean? Like it was like an
winter.
overcast day. It was probably hot.
Well, that's why
'cause
they
he's
did.
sweating.
That's why they had that weird staircase thing because the UK doesn't really have beaches.
Yeah.
in the same,
Great location though, and there was a Twitter from the city of what was it? Clevenleys again. That were like, hey, cat's out of the bag. Clevenleys is actually the Niamos or whatever.
Yeah.
And the city of Clevenleys did like an official tweet with stills from the shot.
I thought it was such an interesting location. I was saying earlier, it looks like a spot out of Cyberpunk 77.
Yeah.
There's I don't remember the name of the area, but there's an area in Cyberpunk 77 that's sort of separated from the rest of Night City.
I'm still upset with that game, but anyways.
We got to talk about this later.
Yeah.
Because I just finished that game. I love it.
Oh, see, I played it when it came
Yeah,
out.
Okay.
You played it so long ago, you forgot you even played it.
Yeah.
That is true, actually.
I love the location, and again, this is kind of going to the not Cyberpunk the series, but the genre of Cyberpunk with the Blade Runner in Episode 1, and a lot of the brutalistic buildings we see in Episode 4. So, Episode 4 of the series, and so was Episode 4. So much of this is doing so well to show that sort of cyberpunk aesthetic that shows this distance, but this class separation, between the low class and the high class, and this sort of totalitarian police state rule that's always in cyberpunk media.
I like the color correction. Like they did a little color treatment to the outside shots too.
Well, it's sort of like you get the Mexico sepia tone.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same.
Not Argo, but the one with Benicio del Toro in it.
Sicario.
Sicario.
There it is. Argo and Sicario. Argo Sicario.
Yeah. So what do we think?
Keith is
I
awesome.
went
Keith is
on a
great name.
date to go
Keith
see
Gergo.
Sicario.
Keith Gergo.
Gergo, dude.
Keith, where are you?
You know you want to go to a party with Keith
It's
Gergo.
so close to Gulp Shitto.
I
Like,
mean,
it's a spiritual like Gulp Shitto.
Yeah, they're cousins. Yeah, for sure. Like Keith and
I don't know who that is. What is that name from?
What?
You don't know what?
Oh man.
This is an episode. No, we're not going to talk about it.
Mm.
This is the
We
first
could-
after Andor is going to be a Gulp
This
Shitto
is
episode.
this
Who
is
is
Mon
Gulp? Is that
Mothma
the-
saying, "I'm not going to
Gulp
tell
Shitto?
you."
Is that
kind
the
of a-
bunny from the Star Wars cartoon?
He's Gulp Shitto, yeah.
I'm so confused.
Do you have another guess?
I don't.
Dr. Evazan is Gulp Shitto.
So
Ponda Baba, Gulp Shitto.
I don't know the reference.
Lama Su, Gulp Shitto.
I don't.
They're all Gulp Shittos.
Yeah, I don't know. What's Gulp Shitto?
Well, it's
for the
actually
audience?
Glup Shitto, and it's for the audience. A Glup Shitto is your random background Star Wars character that might have a line, probably doesn't. Like Biggs or Wedge are great Glup Shittos.
Max Rebo.
Max Rebo is a great Glup Shitto. Figuring
Where did
Dan.
they come up with the name? Glup
It's
Shitto?
just it's a stupid like oh yeah, I know that character. That's Glup Shitto, right? It's a
Okay.
Star Wars.
Gotcha.
And
That's funny.
like Schmodown Insider here. Whenever we would give Mike a Star Wars question he didn't know, he would answer Gulp Shitto, which is why I say Gulp and not Glup, because I'm so used to him saying
Oh boy, Mike.
Gulp Shitto.
Anyways,
Big gulp.
There is a Twitter account.
Yeah, there is.
that
Yeah, yeah.
posts daily
So good.
Glup Shittos.
yeah, I like it.
So anyway, 6 years for being in the wrong place at the wrong
yeah, so-
time.
So
It's true.
there's someone someone commits an act of a group. Cassian's going to the store for
Couple rabble
for
rousers.
some Revnog and
Pizzos.
Pizzos.
I'm just going to the store. It's right there.
Damn it, Wendy.
Yeah.
It's sweaty. I like
You're-
your
you're
tweet you did today.
you're
Like,
sweating.
today in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Why are you sweating on a beach?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm sweating, guys. I'm sweating doing this podcast.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
It's
for
like,
whatever
wow,
reason,
that
it's
frickin'
92 degrees in
stormtrooper.
October. In
I was just
Southern
thinking
LA.
last night, man, I'm so glad it finally cooled down.
I know.
now-
I was like,
Did anybody else hear Frank's Chicago accent come out for a second there?
It
Yeah, I
happens. It happens.
Yeah. So he's some hoodlums.
Great to see that the KX droid's back.
We're getting it. We're getting there's some hoodlums commit a crime.
talked about 6 years already. I thought you were skipping it.
No, I'm getting to there so we can talk about it. Some hoodlums commit a crime. Cassian's walking down the beach. The shore troopers see, are chasing the criminals, and they see Cassian just getting out of the way because he's had bad experiences, right?
He's doing a lot of this.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because
he's looking really guilty.
because he just doesn't
Act like you've been there.
Because look, I do the same thing when cops are chasing someone. I'm like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of the way, so I don't,
Why are
right?
you looking around?
Yeah.
And then why are you sweating?
What do you mean? I'm on a beach.
What do you mean?
Dude, I
It's a
would be-
beach. It's
when-
hot.
When I was prescribed like Xanax and drugs during my chemotherapy treatment, I would
Xanax
still
and drugs.
when I was-
Xanax and all the
but look,
drugs.
I'd have a prescription But I would still walk through airport security nervous, like, are they gonna fucking ask me about my drugs? Like, do I have my prescription form? So, like, I would be, I could understand.
I mean, he's
him
also
freaking out.
Cassian is a fugitive right now. Of the
Yeah,
Empire,
sure.
So
He
I
committed a
think
major.
the second he got the second he saw his first shore trooper, he'd be like, okay, with this chick, whoever it is, like, let's go to another planet then. Let's get the
Well,
hell out of there.
but that's what Marva was saying, was that there are no
I know.
there are no
and
planets.
this is
that
what
are-
Luthen wanted.
sure
He
Dagobah would
like
be
no
without the
matter
Empire.
where you go, it's everything is raised to 11,
right.
and so
Yeah.
this is what Luthen
call.
wants. This is what
Yeah.
Luthen wants,
Space,
and Cassian
Miami,
is now.
Florida.
Yeah, she was like, normally this would be like a 6-month
Yeah,
sentence,
he's
but
like,
now
"Ah."
it's 6 years.
Yeah,
I
so
love
deal with it.
I love when he's like, "This is insane." She's like, "Take it up with the Emperor."
By the way, this is why I love the internet. So people translate Arabesh.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I did see this.
So
yeah,
the
go ahead.
editor probably was like, okay, let's just this is a cool clean shot of the credit card thing,
Yeah.
announcing their thing. But someone online's like, excuse me, so for
I mean, this is obviously planned.
for our boy Keith
Production-wise.
Gurgio, the shot they used of his card, and
Yeah.
probably instead of the one that had the correct Arabesh of 6 years or whatever,
Yeah.
it was actually for Keith Seymour, who was suspected force sensitivity, and he insulted an Imperial officer, and he was sentenced to 25 years. So I just like that the internet pointed out, like, oh, that was the wrong card translation.
Well,
I don't think
it. I don't.
it
I don't
doesn't
think
matter.
it's-
I'm just saying editorial.
Well, I also don't
the
think
editor
they.
looks at it and is like, it's a shot.
They've known. There's been times in the past where the Arabesh hasn't made sense. Like there's some shots of Rebels where the
Well,
Arabesh.
yeah, but Keith Seymour seems to be an. It's not like they misspelled.
Well, is it?
That is it. Look at that. That's each sentence.
Yeah,
is
but that's
specific
that's
sentence.
like an American. That's probably someone's name, like the editor's name or like the editor's significant other's name, right? Like
they
it's
just
like
typed it in Arabesh. I know.
right. So it's
They didn't
it's,
realize people would. Well, maybe they did.
Well,
Oh,
I
they
don't.
100%
I
knew.
don't think they care.
I think that's
But
that's
you know
just
who
a,
didn't know?
That's
Tony
what you call
Gilroy
that's
didn't
an
know.
actual Easter egg.
Yeah.
I don't think
That's an
Tony.
actual
I don't think
This
Tony
show doesn't
Gilroy
have
gives a
Easter
shit.
He's like, no, he wants the shot that has the most cleanest shot of the credit card.
Also, I think this is how you could spin this in terms of they don't care.
Yeah,
They don't care.
it's like printing
Is
it out.
this sure? They don't care. 6 years go.
So okay, so 6 years. That's a lot of time to read that manifesto.
Yeah, he ain't gonna be in there for 6 years though.
No,
Why
no,
was
no.
it not 6 months? She's like, it's not 6 months because he's a tourist, or because of the new
no,
Empire.
because of the
Empire?
new rules for the
Gotcha.
Empire.
Oh, that sucks
So-
for you.
So
we think-
I don't think he'll be in there for. I don't think he'll be in there for
6 minutes.
for 6 years, but I think he'll be there for enough time to have read the manifesto because he has nothing else.
You're
What
gonna,
makes
they're
you
gonna let him
think-
bring a manifesto into
I
jail.
do.
with him?
I do think they would let him bring it in. Absolutely.
I don't think he has it with him.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I
That throws away this crazy theory that I saw on Twitter too. That the way he'd escape, we can talk about that later. How do you think he'll escape? And someone said, oh, maybe he reprograms a KX droid. And they're saying the reason why K2SO used the word climb is the same because of our boy Nemec, and that when he reprograms K2SO, he says, read this. This is going to be your
Oh my
new
gosh.
base programming. And so K2SO actually is the manifesto in robotic form.
That would be. That's. I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
It's
That's
not my
one of
theory.
those-
I just report them.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
one of those.
Yeah, and
that's
I'm
one
like,
of
I don't
those.
know. I don't know.
My response to that is speculate responsibly.
Yeah, yeah.
responsibly.
Yeah.
Like
What if Vel breaks him out just to kill him?
so I do think that his escape will be linked to Vel.
Not to a K2SO.
I don't.
What do you
You
think?
don't.
Here's.
Saw?
I think
Oh, Saw is a good-
Guerrero.
no. I think this is all
his head.
Cassian's. So I think what's happening now, right now, is all these people are getting thrown in jail for just the minorest things, right?
right.
This is what Luthen wants, people to be affected like this. All these people in jail are going to be like, yo, what the hell's going on?
You think Cassian's going to lead a prison revolt?
And meanwhile, Cassian's is looking at all this happen around him, everyone being affected and realizing he could actually do something about it because he kind of did
Mm-hmm.
a little while ago. And I think he might end up leading
A prison
a
revolt.
prison revolt,
Isn't there
basically.
a shot from the trailer
Yeah,
though of
yeah.
him running away, and it's just him? It's not like
No.
him leading
It's
a
the
whole.
whole. There's a whole slew of people like charging at a
Oh,
door,
okay.
or like down this
I'm not.
corridor.
I'm not basing anything off trailers, but yeah, okay.
I don't
yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah.
I chose not to watch the trailer after the first time, so that's just going off
that's
memory.
that's possible. I don't know. My first thought.
I think
based-
what I'm trying to say is I think this prison moment for him is going to have a huge impact on how he looks at the Empire, their
Sure,
control, their
absolutely.
oppression.
So how many
and
more episodes are there in the season?
So that was
5?
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah.
So 12. So 2 more. There's 2 more arcs. So we have this prison arc and then 1 more arc after that.
So we know the next arc is
Yeah.
3 episodes, meaning the final arc is 2.
Is the final arc is 2? You're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Well, because there's 5 episodes left.
Okay, 5.
Yeah, but
episodes
this was
left.
the first episode
this is first
of
of
a
the
new
new
arc.
one. Yeah.
No, I think this episode is its own.
Oh, because I was thinking, would prison
was
be?
under
Will
the-
he be in prison next episode,
Based on-
and then in 2 episodes the escape?
I had seen a tweet to imply that this episode sort of functioned as its own episode, like its own.
Well, I guess that remains.
Break?
We'll find out next week. I guess.
Yeah, and really, ultimately, it doesn't matter, right? Like, for as much as it's 3 episode arcs, right? Like, they've been pretty sequential to each other, right?
I mean, right.
There's
So, like,
not a lot of
the
time.
first episode
7,
pretty
8,
much
9,
sets
10,
up
11, 12. No,
this-
this is
the other 2.
Because up
Hold on.
until
Look, 7, 8, 9 is prison arc, and then 10, 11, 12 will be the finale arc.
Yeah.
So
Right,
So will he
but-
be in prison
but
next
hold on.
episode, and then the escape in the
let me.
third?
I want to point
Probably,
out
probably.
if we cut out Space Miami,
Beyond Vanitas.
the first part, the majority of this episode has nothing to do with him being in prison. If we cut out Space Miami, right?
What has him? Well, it's not about prison per se. It's about him trying to get away from the Empire's
Sure.
thumb, and then
I-
he goes home first.
Okay,
and he says he
it
can't stay
doesn't-
home, and then he
it-
says,
it
"I'll go to
doesn't matter.
Miami."
I saw a tweet. I don't know from who, but it was some. I remember it was a Lucasfilm person that implied that this
Sure his name
episode.
wasn't Lucas.
I'm
Lucas Bilm. My name is
Pretty-
Lucas Bilm.
I'm pretty sure. I saw a tweet
My
that
name is
implied
Lucas
this episode was sort of its own break, and then we'd get back to the 3-act the 3-act
But
structure.
there's not
next.
enough episodes for 3 extra.
Yeah, they can make it work. It doesn't matter. You know, even
Maybe.
though-
Well, I mean, we'll find out
right,
again
you
next
know.
week. You know,
How does he
if that's
escape?
How that works.
So you say
Okay,
he leads.
so
he leads a
I've-
rebellion.
Sure,
It kind of
but-
looks like.
But
like from
I
the
could
trailer,
see
yeah.
I could see something like Vel going to him in prison
and helping you like
and
yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
and him, you know, and like going to kill him and him going like, no wait, you know, again.
I don't think she's gonna.
How about
I don't
this?
think
No,
she-
What about-
she's not. I don't think
What
she's
about
gonna.
unrelated? He doesn't know that even. What about
No,
just
no. I'm
small
saying
world?
I don't think she wants to kill him.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't either.
think
But
she
I could
will.
see her. I could see her kind of like going through with it anyways until he goes.
Yeah.
No, wait. I want to fight. You know.
I want to fight. What about Saw Gerrera? Maybe there are other partisans that are
I
thrown
just
in
turned
jail.
6
and he
and
just-
I'm ready
he
to
goes and he
fight.
breaks them out, and it'll be like that last shot of Captain America: Civil War, where Captain America walks up and sees, it's
Oh,
gonna
at
be
the-
Saw
in the-
Gerrera
on the
breaking
raft?
them out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it could be
Um,
that.
Yeah. I think that's possible.
Sound off below in the comments, all of our fans that comment a lot. We have
Yeah.
fiery discussions there. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that it would be Saw Gerrera? Do you think it would be K2SO reprogrammed, or do you think it?
Congratulations.
I don't think
You're
I think
being
it's
rescued.
I think it's too early for K2.
I do think it's cool. They made, by the way, the KX droid terrifying.
Yeah.
Not that because K2SO, you always made him kind of like he was funny, but like when he's just choking him and he's like hang, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
it's
and
pretty
it just
menacing.
shows his life. Like you could tell, and it reminded me of in Rogue One. You actually do walk by when they're like starting their infiltration.
Yeah.
That you see a regular KX droid walk by, and you just see the difference in the walk. It's more robotic and lifeless
Well,
compared to K2SO's walk.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order does
Yeah.
does they are so like you're a fucking Jedi
Dude, it's tough. They're tough.
and they are scary
They're tough,
motherfuckers.
Really?
They're tough,
Oh,
man.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
see that.
they're
so-
not. I would.
They're one of the
evade them.
hardest enemies
Yeah,
to
they-
fight.
they are.
Like just on like frustration level alone.
Yeah, you
Um,
can do it. It's just consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode where we went pretty long. I mean, there's a lot in this episode to cover.
No, we got to cover
But-
Tales of the Jedi. The
yeah,
whole
there was
season now, right?
Well, and there was a poster for Bad Batch. Don't we
yeah,
want to
I
talk about
thought
the
that
poster, Frank?
Did we have news? We got news across
Frank,
the
I had a
galaxy.
dream about Star Wars. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
No, real quick because Kevin brought it up. So we were on. Here's our little anecdote story. We were on.
I know.
One's got to go. Only one can
One's
stay.
gotta stay.
One's got to
One's
stay
gotta stay.
over on the bite-sized breakdown. I hope that's the YouTube channel. I'm not sure. Bite-sized
Amaru
breakdown
listens, he'll correct
YouTube
us.
channel. Amaru will post it down below, and we will pin it for you guys. And by we, I mean Frank.
Yep.
Thank you, Frank.
Frank,
Thank
that's
you,
more
Frank.
than you do.
No, I'll go in and do it. Don't worry. I have the
Yeah,
access. And I was not feeling well. So at a certain point, it's me, Kevin, Frank, and two of our other Schmodown friends over there. And at a certain point, I just shut off my camera,
The camera.
shut off my mic. Everyone's like, "Where the fuck Sean go?" I grab the trash can from my desk and just turn and throw up. and come back on like nothing ever
Nothing
happened.
about- he texted.
Texted Frank and Kevin like, guys, I don't feel well. I just
You
threw
just
up
threw up.
under my desk.
You see, if you go back, you could see me look down at the text, and
Yeah.
I literally, I literally am like, what, like that, and then that's when I was,
And it's
I was
like
giving you,
it
I
was
gave
like
you
20
props
minutes
without saying-
later. It was
yeah.
like 20 minutes later
when I finally saw the
'cause you
text.
didn't- yeah.
yeah, it was really funny. We could talk about how you
So
didn't
that's-
choose Obi-Wan as your number
No, I
one.
didn't,
and
no, I
you're-
didn't.
you're the lead
That's
host
why-
of a
They'll
Star
have
Wars
to
show.
go watch the episode and. hear
That's
the
why I
reasons.
wasn't here last weekend. I was
It's
pretty
reasons for
fucking sick.
bullshit reasons.
Damn. Yeah. Well,
you were
from-
missed, dude.
I missed it. You know what? I was feeling a little better on Wednesday, and I should have
That's
sucked
all
it
right.
up.
You're
but
fine.
I didn't see the episode till about when you guys started filming. So,
What do you mean?
well, I didn't stay up to watch the episode because I wasn't planning on coming to film.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh, I
So
see.
by the time I saw the episode,
And
is
you know, it's
right
funny,
when you
we
guys
took
would've started
longer
filming.
to talk about the episode than the episode actually was. So you were probably finished with the episode before we were finished recording about the episode.
Yeah, probably.
And that goes the same for this episode. We're clocking in at a
No, but this was
1:57.
there was a lot of meat on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to me that we talked about Cassian the least because so much of it is the Coruscant espionage, and that's what I'm loving about this show.
Predictions for next week, everyone?
Well, no, we wanted to rank something.
Yeah. So like favorite scenes
From this
episode.
Yeah.
I will.
You lead.
Yeah, I will rank these three in this order. I mean, my favorite scene / interaction was definitely the Mon Mothma stuff. That's number one for me. Number two was the conversation with Marva, and then three was honestly it's when he wakes up with Wendy. Like I
was
thought
so-
I thought it was
so-
such a
it
Star
was
Wars
so
name.
funny.
It's
It was
so
great.
off-putting.
Yeah,
It's so,
I'm gonna throw it in there for number three.
It's so irrelevant. I think my 1 and 2 are absolutely the same. I think that Mon Mothma scene. I mean, we already fucking talked very long-winded with it. I think that scene shows such great acting, shows such great tension. The tension as like you kind of see her like almost trying to avoid Perrin so that he's not, and he's moving around the room as she moves around the room. All of that builds such good tension, such good intrigue through all of it. The Marva scenes, all of them just hit so hard. My third, however, is probably not going to be that one.
No.
It's probably going to be Luthen and Mon
Ooh,
for
that's
the
another good one.
for the
Yeah,
revelations.
that's another good one.
The revelations of like the tension there and the unresolved tension there. That's still something we have to get a resolution on. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
Those are good answers, but the correct answer is actually Marva and Cassian is number one for sure. Because I think that's going to be. And by the way, I just kidding. Everybody's answer is right, but Marva and Cassian
No,
having that
this is-
conversation, which literally is leading him. It's just further getting us to that character we see in Rogue One, and it's just so powerful, especially the acting involved. And then I do have the Mon Mothma Tay scene as number 2, and then the Mon Mothma Luthen scene is number 3. But the best delivery of any line in the whole episode is "That's what love is," and then also Luthen saying the "We can't hide forever."
Yeah.
it's very shades of like where is he going? With
you know,
this?
we got to give Deidre some credit.
Dedra.
Dedra, yeah.
Dedra.
And
Right,
Senta.
because-
We never really talked about Senta.
Oh,
briefly.
well,
there wasn't really much there.
Yeah.
What about you, bud?
She's doing what she's told.
Yeah, basically same as Frank, but I like the Marva scene because we get a mention of Tim, and she puts on a cup of calf, hot cup
She
of
does.
calf.
She does.
I don't think that was calf. I think that was
You think it was what?
Moof juice.
Mufti.
Revnog with calf in it.
Okay, it was
Just
calf. It was
hot,
calf.
yeah,
hot
but I
water
wanna-
and lemon.
I want to give a shout out to the Dedra scenes with Partagaz. I mean,
Yeah.
that whole sequence. I think
Council scene.
Part of the white.
again this episode. This was probably the longest episode we've had yet.
I think
53,
so.
53
Pretty
minutes.
close. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, and it's. I mean,
45.
there's so much
Episode
there.
6 was pretty long.
But
and this
there's-
one was,
there's
yeah.
so much
These are
there
the,
with-
these past two were definitely the longest. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much there with Partagaz and Dedra that I mean that scene is up there. If we're talking about the 4 scenes with the most tension and the most, I mean, the dialogue in this show is so expertly done.
Yeah.
So much character building, so much intrigue, so much tension. I just
Do you think
Eat
this
it all.
spoils us for future? Like, is this
I
putting
think
Mandalorian on really? Like,
Here's-
hey, you better catch up. You better catch
Here's
up.
the-
What are we going to
here's
think
the
about
difference.
Mandalorian moving forward?
okay. So let's talk about this, right? The difference between Mandalorian and Andor. I love Mandalorian. I am a sucker for any and all things related to Mandalorian armor, all of it, you know, the little boy in me is just, you know, it wants to see the cool soldier with the cool toys and like how cool it would be to have one of those costumes, right? The difference is that show is about these shows are about so totally different things, right? Like this is a political intrigue thriller that is doing so much to set up this sort of these interplay between all these parties and all these characters, differences of opinions, but it's not about war necessarily, right? It's not an action flick. There is action in it, just like there's action in, you know, in the Bourne Identity films, but those movies aren't about the action. They just have action for the climaxes and sequence. Mandalorian is a cultural tale. It's a tale of culture, religion, with the difference between the Mandalorian covert with the former Death Watch Mandalorians, led by the Armorer, and the Night Owls / more traditional as in what we're used to from a Mandalorian through Rebels and Clone Wars and other Mandalorian history that we have from Legends with the Karen Travis stuff and stuff. It's a different thing, and then we get the same thing set up with the Jedi and Grogu's place stuck between the Mandalorians and Mandalore, and the fact that the Jedi and Mandalorians are ancient enemies, right? So all of that brings this sort of cultural tension, whereas Andor's a lot more about political tension. I'm sorry I didn't mean to hog all that time.
No, it's great. That's why I asked these questions.
So I don't think, you know, ultimately these are my two favorite Star Wars shows, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that this spoils us because I think that a lot of fans will say like, oh, well, it's no Andor, you know.
Everybody has to pick a side.
Yeah,
Just like you can't like House of the Dragon without hating on Rings of Power, which is stupid.
I think that, and there's plenty of reasons to hate on Rings of Power without comparing it to House of the Dragon. I love that show, don't get me wrong. But
like how people were hating on, didn't someone send like you guys sent me a meme that someone had posted somewhere where it was making fun of Obi-Wan in favor of Andor.
Yeah.
It's like, that's stupid fandom.
Yeah,
right
with the railing, the horse
yeah.
on the railing, yeah. I think what it comes down to is they're different shows, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They have they have a different goal and a different writing style. The Mandalorian is meant to be this sort of pulp, campy, you know, Monster of the Week show or Problem of the Week show
a serialized
show that has this undertone of this cultural debate, right? This religious cultural debate between the Mandalorians. Andor is not serialized. It is going full bore, one single story, character building, drama. It's a different intent. To compare the two, to say one's better or that Star Wars should do one or the other, it's so missing the point of what the directors and screenwriters are trying to say and do with these shows. And it's doing a disservice to the show. It's doing a disservice to Andor to say it's better than anything else, because it is built on the backs of the more campy, more pulpy Star Wars.
I agree.
You know.
Yeah, when someone says I think Andor's better than Mandalorian, it's like, well, I think you just prefer this style as opposed to the Mandalorian style. Doesn't mean, you know, and you can execute those styles, you know, either good or bad. If, you know, what's a good spy thriller as opposed to a bad spy thriller?
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I wouldn't compare a spy thriller to a comedy.
We're not comparing the Bourne Identity to the Kim Possible.
No,
right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I do.
Well, that makes sense.
But look, your argument on why Rufus is the best character in a spy movie, you got me. You know,
dang,
you can't you got to be naked. You know, you can't get your clothes caught in something because
I was thinking of Ron.
You know,
you've never seen Kim Possible.
I mean, but it's been so long.
You know, you're trying to sneak in somewhere, you get caught in like a door.
I've never seen Kim Possible.
It's great.
Okay, I wouldn't put that out there. Don't be proud of that.
Yeah.
To see Kim Possible? Why would that?
If you've seen Kim Possible, you would
You'll
not
know.
be saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it as a badge of honor. I'm just saying because I don't know what any of you guys are talking about.
Kind of came across that way.
Well,
are we going to do a Kim Possible watch along for Kevin?
Absolutely.
Probably before you watch my freaking Kenobi cut or my KOTOR
Hey, look,
movies.
if you've seen my
Have you seen my KOTOR movies?
All right.
Scoundrel. Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.